do tanks. He is the hero. Nievny. Oh dear. Showing the back to Envision. Oh no, he received a shot. Now he's a one shot. Oh dear. Oh dear. Nievny. Can he survive? It's the $1 million question now. Can he survive? He race. Oh my god. Oh no, he fell out. Whoopsie. He fell out. No. Oh no.
We've been streaming the winter season PYS tours. I've been doing Asia and EU, and Jack's been doing basically all of them, except CIS, really. And then the other day he went on and he was streaming Vale, and he was inundated with downvotes, absolutely inundated. I mean, at one stage there was like 100 downvotes or something.
Yeah, 120 something.
In the space of like 2 minutes or whatever it was. I mean, which is pretty outrageous, to be fair. And you know, I mean, as a YouTuber, it gets you down because it's sort of, you know, it sends a message that you're not liked or whatever. And nobody really understands why you get downvotes. I mean, you get downvotes for lots of reasons, but you normally get, you know, the occasional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 maybe, but not like 100 in the space of a minute. So it's either A, there's a coordinated attack going on, or B, somewhere in the YouTube system there was a complete utter bugger up. And obviously, I mean, as I said, as a YouTuber, it gets you down because you sit there going, oh, nobody likes me, everybody's pissed off. And that's normally not the case. I mean, well, Jack, what are your feelings?
Oh, well, obviously very shocked. Don't know why I'm getting the hate there. Obviously, I've made some really big statements, but like the hate's like only towards the like or dislike ratio there. So I was pretty surprised that I got like more than 100 dislikes, which in my opinion, I don't deserve that.
Nobody deserves it. I mean,
no.
I mean, regardless, just hang on a minute. Hi, Pete. Hi, Senko. Hi, I lost my hit points. How you doing, guys? But yeah, let's. I mean, I wanted to do this chat because it's about YouTube basically. And I did a video I did a sort of chat video like this a while ago about the truth about being a YouTuber. And
right.
With the greatest respect to Jack, he's pretty new to the YouTube scene. He's been doing a lot of commentary. He's been doing it a long time. In fact, he's probably come along onto YouTube basically with the commentary more than anything. And it's not like he hasn't been doing it for a while. You've been doing it since summer season last year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You know, so it's not as if he's new to YouTube, but YouTube's a fickle beast, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is. It's up and down. It's a demanding mistress, and sometimes it's unappreciative, and it can get you down on occasion. It really can. And I tried to explain this to a Happy World of Tanks, Happy, when he went down his drama route, saying, you know, it's. I understand why you're doing it, but you know, it's not the best way to go if you really want to be a serious YouTuber. And one of the things that you'll tend to find with YouTube is you're not going to please a lot of people, to be honest with you. And it's a platform that is there for you to share your views, your thoughts, and your opinions. And nobody should deny that, unless those opinions are opinions of hate or whatever. Then obviously it's a different kettle of fish.
Yep.
But I mean, one of the reasons that Jack and some others in the community think that he's had all these downvotes is to do with comments he made regarding a game that I streamed, which was APA versus APA. And
speculation, though.
Say again, sorry.
It's just a speculation. It's not like
No.
not
I
like
just said it's what some people think. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no cast evidence in this, and it may not be that. But I mean, I streamed that game, and I mean, we don't need to go into it. It wasn't. It was clear that
it wasn't pretty at all. It was
the team of APA didn't play passively. They didn't break the rules as such, but they certainly didn't put up a fight, let's say, allowing the main APA team to win. And there's a possible understanding, I say, like I said, there's no evidence that the comments made by Wild Ones Alpha, Jack, either after that stream or whatever, on various platforms, probably alienated the Polish community. Well, maybe, but you're entitled to have views, and you're entitled to have opinions. The thing is, with YouTube, you've got to tone down your language a little bit, because obviously you go into it as an influencer now. You go to a wider audience, and the things that you personally are passionate about. And a lot of I argue all the time with Jack, not because I like arguing with Jack, but because everybody misunderstands when people say things. And Jack is, Wild Ones Alpha is generally saying things to improve the game. Okay, he's not saying things because he wants to pick on people. He's not saying things because he wants to pick on certain teams or nationalities or whatever you may think. He's actually saying things to improve the game. Now, it may not come across that way, but that's his intention. Okay, and you don't see a lot of the stuff he does behind the scenes, guys. And a lot of the stuff he does behind the scenes in the streamer chats is he's looking for ways to try and improve the way that tournaments work for the benefit of everybody. Okay, so don't take his words out of context. Okay, he may have forceful opinions, and you may think he's forcing them, but actually he's looking for a way to improve the overall gameplay for everybody. Anyway, Jack, in your words, what do you say?
What do I say? What do you mean about this?
Well, what I've just said.
Oh, I mean, like, this season has been quite a very different season from like the rest, particularly from the EU season, where the good thing is that it's a lot more competitive. It's highly competitive this season, unusually competitive this season. Inevitably, though, it also stirs up a lot of different controversies concerning a lot of teams and so on, which is something that I don't know what to feel about that, but it's also something that I also care about a lot recently. And I don't know, but I always want to make the competition as fair as possible, and also the fair competition can be upheld. This, I think, is very important.
No, that's true. But I mean, one of the things you've got to realise, a lot of people have got to realise, is that we're talking about professional sports. Realistically, I mean, these tournaments are professional tournaments. They're not your normal run-of-the-mill tours. Okay, and as much as it would pain me to say this,
right,
but I have to say this. As in all professional tournaments and all professional sports, no matter what that sport is, there's always going to be a way to try and gain an advantage without breaking the rules. It's always going to be there.
That's true.
It's always going to be there. And as much as we may find that distasteful, my point has been recently that it's not the clan's fault. Okay, it's the clans will always make use, like all professional sportsmen, of anything that is not there to gain an advantage over their opponent. Now, you could look at that in, let's take football, for example. In football, if you watch them taking a corner or taking a throw in, they'll always take it an extra yard or two. It doesn't really give much of an advantage, but it's an advantage. Or, it'll be the slightest brush against another player and he'll fall over like he's been shot by Vasily Zaitsev in the sniper tower. And he'll roll over on the ground as if he's been absolutely had his head blown off. And then as soon as the referee blows the whistle, he gets back up again and everything's fine. I mean,
rolling over a lot of times,
Exactly. I mean, professional sportsmen do this. I mean, in cricket, they do everything they can to scuff the one side of a cricket ball to get that extra bit of swing. And it's to be expected in sports. Where I draw the line is when they break the rules. And when the rules are broken fully, then they should have the book thrown at them. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's no excuse, there's no defense. If you've broken the rules, you've broken the rules. Simple as. But the point I'm trying to make here is, at the moment, there are certain things going on in the tour scene which aren't technically illegal. They don't sit well with people. Some people would turn around and say it's not good sportsmanship, etc., etc. However, I would point out it's open to all clans to do and use these loopholes if they choose to. Okay, so it's not a rule for one and a rule for everybody else. And the whole point should be that it's wargaming as the organizer who needs to tighten up on these rules, and they do, because it then flows over into the community, and the community get upset, and the community start pointing fingers here, there, and everywhere. Like, APA played badly, and that was unfair what they did. It's unsportsmanlike. Well, let's break it down. What APA did. It's not their fault that they got, put together with their own clan in a quarterfinal or whatever it was. It's not their fault. They're not manipulating the MM. so it's nothing. It's purely not their fault. And you want your best team to go forward. Simple as that. I mean, if you've got two teams in your clan, you want your best team forward. You don't want your training team, so to speak, to go forward. So it's not unsurprising that APA's main team beat their second team. APA's second team didn't put up much of a fight in order for that to happen. I can't blame the clan because they were allowed to do it. They didn't break the rules. There was no passive. See, the rule says if you play passively, then it's against the rules. But they didn't play passively, so they actually all YOLO'd into the other team, which is aggressive, not passive. So it's a bit weird. That's number one. So they didn't play passively, and there's no evidence. There's no smoking gun evidence to say that they rigged the match. As simple as that. But it didn't go down well with some members of the community. I streamed it. I wasn't happy with the way the game was being played, and I made that known at the time. I said, in the second game they took 7 back chats, I believe, and I was like, yeah, right. They're really making a game out of this. So but I've got to emphasize, it's not the clan's fault. The clans were allowed to utilize this loophole, so to speak.
Yep.
And this is the thing. So all I'm saying is we need to sort of channel our, not anger, our frustrations to the organizers. And the frustrations that we have at the moment are centering around things like the ability to do more than one team in a tournament, followed by win rates, 100% win rate accounts. Okay, and these are the two main frustrations at the moment. Now, I'm just gonna I'll leave it at that for the moment, and I'll get on to something else in a minute, and I'll let Jack jump in and give his side of his story now.
Of
Have a cigarette.
You mean about
what I just said? Of what I just said.
Should I go for the APA side of things though? Then.
Hang on a moment. Hey Layla. Hey Boshiat. Hey Mars. Hey Tommy. Hey Jory. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, I mean,
yes, please.
Yeah, the upload speed's quite bad. I don't know, quite weird. Now it's like over 8,000. Just I don't know. It's still red. hopefully my stream's not buffering as bad as before. But I was thinking that, I mean, probably at that time, I was very frustrated or quite angry about what I see. Think it was a deliberate throw, but I mean it's very, very obvious that is to say. Never blamed about that the two teams are paired together in the seeding though, because it's not something that could be exactly worked out, and I do not think if they wanted an advantage they would want that to happen in the first place, because you really want the two teams not to meet at a very early stage. And we're talking about the group stage quarterfinals, which is the second round of the entire Proof of Skill tournament series. Of one Proof of Skill tournament series, so I do not blame about this the way it was seeded there. The thing I was pretty frustrated about, and probably I have channeled it in not the most appropriate way, is that how the games were played in the end. And I think something like tanks, like what second team does is they are deliberately losing the game for the second team of APA. I think that this should not be something that should be upheld, in my opinion, and I think this is something that should be investigated, and also in the rules something that should be updated so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen again, because deliberately losing, in my opinion, is a form of match fixing. And I think from what I see from that example, I think it was quite obvious that a deliberate loss has been done from the second team side. And I hope Wargaming is going to update their rules regarding losing deliberately, because if I remember in Olympics, I think there was a badminton match where two teams are also deliberately losing the match, resulting in two of these participants being disqualified in the end. So I hope Wargaming is going to update the rules to include something, to include some punishment over games where it was deliberately lost or something like that.
De Silva, don't ever go at me, man. Darn it, De Silva's on go on to Meter stream, have a go at him. He smokes every now and then. Sorry, Jack. I mean, just jumping on to that point. I mean,
right.
I get your view, I get your point. And you have to forgive me, because I approach a lot of things with, unfortunately, my stupid legal, because I'm a lawyer, my legal head on.
Yeah.
The problem we've got with the APA game is what we think and what we can prove are two different things. So we can't prove in any certainty that one team intentionally threw the game. We can't prove that with certainty. Or they will turn around and say, quite rightly as well, no, we had a strat for 7 back chats. We tried to rush them and it didn't work. So we can't prove for certainty. What we in the reason I say that is because when I was discussing this particular game with Wargaming, and you were there, I had to agree with Wargaming's assessment that they haven't played passively, so they have not broken that rule, and there is no smoking gun evidence that proves that the games were rigged. So I have to agree with that. And the thing I've suggested to wargaming is fine, great. Then update the rules to include something that states, you know, I can't remember what wording I use now, but something along the lines of, if it appears on the balance of probability that one team is playing in such a manner as to give an advantage or a distinct advantage to the other team, then that should be considered as a breach, because that's what they did. They played in a manner to give the other team the advantage.
And as I remember correctly from your stream, if I could recall, the bad chats actually rammed into the mouse. I think they didn't really.
They did. They
They
rammed
did.
into the mouth.
They didn't really try to win the game at all in the end, which was something that I am very frustrated about as well.
But this is the problem. I mean, we have in what I foresee, in what I see, we have three main problems. Okay.
Yeah.
With the tournament scene at the moment, only three, funnily enough. And I'll touch on each of them, and I have to add, all three of these issues are nothing that the clans are at fault. Okay, no clan fault for any of these issues. No, I'll just say that they're exploiting a rule that hasn't been closed down. Okay.
Yep, that's
Simple
true.
as that. So none of the clans are cheating. None of the clans are breaking any of the tournament rules or any of the ELA or game rules. They are merely exploiting holes that are currently in place that need to be locked out. Now, the first one is more than one team. Okay, so clans are able to field more than one team in any tournament, except the Pro Tours. They're not allowed to field because obviously to get to the Pro Tour, only one team can get to the Pro or the Challengers. But in the PYS tours, they can field more than one team. They can field 5 teams if they really want to. They're not limited. I mean, APA are currently fielding 3 teams. Kana are fielding 2 teams. Souls are fielding 2 teams. Imor fielding 2 teams. And Vale are also fielding 2 teams. So clans of and Imor, I think, did I mention Imor? Imor are fielding 2 teams as well. So clans are entitled to field more than 2 teams. That brings about a potential problem. And the potential problem it brings about is when your teams meet against each other. Okay, so we've seen what happened with APA.
Right.
APA, they both came up against each other, and unsurprisingly, the second team, whatever you want to call them, played in a manner to make sure that the first team won and went through, because that's what clans are going to do. They are going to play in a manner to get their best clan into the next stage of the tournament to get those cups.
Yes.
So, and it's happened with Souls, but Souls, interestingly, Souls' second team beat their main team.
True. That's quite weird. I know. Yeah, and also Carnage Internal Derby was also streamed by Every, which ended up the first team winning 2-1. Very funny matches. It's I mean, they are taking some meme lineups, but it was a lot different than what we see with the APA Internal Derby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we come on to Vale, which has been, you know, I've had a lot of messages sent to me, and I've had a lot of things sent to me about Vale's second team. Now, the rules are straightforward for a PYS.
Yeah.
As long as they are touch players and in the clan, they can play. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where they are in the world. There's no rules saying that you have to be in this part of the world or that part of the world. You can be in any part of the world that you want to be in. As long as they're members of the clan and they've got touch, they can play. Simple as that. So it doesn't matter if they're all from Mercy G. They're not, by the way, but it doesn't matter if they're all from Mercy G Game or C4. It doesn't matter. It's a rule that shouldn't exist. Okay, it's a loophole that should not exist. And as much as people may turn around and say, "Oh, but we don't agree with it," I don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not a big fan of that particular tactic myself. You know, I'm not a massive fan of it. But the clan is not breaking any rules. We may sit there and think, oh, but they're playing underhand tactics. Well, are they really? It's not an underhand tactic if it's not illegal. It's simple as that. So the wargaming, you've got two ways to deal with this. As far as I can see, there's only two ways they can deal with it. Firstly, they turn around and say, going forward, you're only allowed to put one team in any tournament competitively. That's it. That knocks it on the head. So you've only got one team that goes forward. That removes all this malarkey of having 2 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams. It removes you drafting in people from wherever you want to draft them in from to be in your second team. It all goes away. So that's one thing. Now, as much as I agree with that, I also don't agree with that because I want tournaments to be inclusive and not restrictive. But if they bring it in just for the professionals tour, then maybe it's a good idea upon reflection. I argued against it, saying that, well, clans have got 50 spaces. They should be able to field, as many teams as they like, realistically. But there needs to be some way of making sure that we don't get what we've been getting. And I don't know how you're going to do that. So the more I reflect, I think for the professional tours, PYS is a professional tour, whichever way you want to look at it. It is a professional tour. You should only field one team. That issue then goes away. It disappears. Nobody can, then complain about APA's shenanigans or Vale's shenanigans. It disappears fully. What do you think about that, Jack?
Vale's the Vale's problem I think is I think for me it's grouped into another issue, but I think let's go back to the 2-team rule, the 1-team rule first, which I think as you said, there are quite a lot of arguments for and against it, and personally, for me, I am inclined to have only one team per clan. Just I think I'm going to take a long time to explain this. Actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah, carry on.
As much as you can. I mean, currently you can field multiple teams and so on. I think this rule, the 1 team per clan rule, was implemented before. I think it was back in 2018. Is it Twister? I think I couldn't remember, or is it not? I really couldn't recall really there. But the really good thing about 1 team per clan rule is that it for seeding wise, you can allow more different types of seeding, in my opinion. So if currently we are under the win rate seeding, which is obviously flawed, and there are a lot of problems with it. But when you talk about 1 team per clan rule, then you can start thinking about different types of seeding that revolves around just the team, and also different stuff going on. I think my seeding is actually revolving around 1 team per clan rule, which I totally forgot that you can send more than 1 team, and with more than 2 teams and so on, it becomes a little bit difficult to seed the 2 teams or above. And I think that is our main reason why Wargaming continues to use the win rate seeding, because this metric is probably still the best way to decide how good that second team is, but obviously the best way is still not the best way here. You don't really know exactly how good that second team is without them actually playing. Regardless of the seeding in the end. But currently the win rate seeding gives the best idea in how the second team or the third team or so on would play in tournaments. And if it's 1 team per clan, then we don't have the problem of how we could seed the 2 teams, a second team or so on. And that's one of the main advantages with 1 team per clan rule. But that's not the most important advantage in my opinion, which I put it in the first place first. But then there is another advantage, being teams cannot rely on a second team or so on to kind of give them a lot of cups, and then after that they can send the other team to the next stage, which I think in order to fix this problem, it's not just you have to use the 2 team per clan rule, and also you need to use other you need to change some rules as well in order to stop that from happening. But with one team per clan rule, then you can only send one team that represents your clan. Obviously, you can still get array around and try to send a much better team only to field a completely different team in the next stage. We're talking about Winter Season Championship or the Challengers Tournament, which is another thing I want to say probably later in this stream. But at least with only one team per clan rule, then you can have a higher chance that the team that is playing in the previous skill tournaments would be the team you would be seeing in the Winter Season Championship or the Challengers Tournament. That is not a certainty though, but there is a higher chance that is the case. I think Fugit talked about that a clan, there should be no restrictions that a clan should field multiple teams. But then, as a lot of clans did back in the days, I think 2018 Twister, if I still remember it correctly, teams were allowed to kind of create a new clan and then participate in the tournaments in that way. I think we saw it with Asia Server Feast and someone else, and then Primal on the NE server with lots of different clans to participate in the tournaments. I think the idea with like multiple clans in the same family participating in tournaments, I think this idea is fine for me. If you do not benefit one another, it's in an anti-competitive way, then I think it's fine for me. But then it's still allowed where you can participate in a different clan tag and still be under the same family. But this is kind of my two main points I wanted to bring.
But on that, I mean going back to that, firstly, it actually costs money, well, credits or gold. I can't remember what it is now to create a clan. It's not free. Creating clans is not free.
I think it was 1 million credits. It's 1 million credits, if I remember correctly.
Too many. I don't know. I've never set up a clan, but it's not free. Is the thing. And secondly, you don't get the same levels of whatever it's called, supply levels or whatever it is.
Yep.
Now, with clans. I mean, this is why it's called Prove Your Skill. So let's take any clan, and let's say we've got a pro clan, whatever that clan may be, and they've got their pro players, which should be a roster of about 9, maybe 10 players who they will rotate to be their pro team. They'll have a 7-team core, and they'll have at least 2, maybe 3 substitutes who they can rotate in or out whenever they want. They can only field 9, obviously, but they'll normally have about 10, just to be sure, depending on who they can play. But they'll only have 9 at that actually register on the day. So clans are allowed 50 players, okay? And the last thing, the reason why clans generally put in a second team is to test them, to give experience in the round for their
academy clan, academy team, or you can put it this way.
You can say it's an academy team. I don't know if it is or not, but it's to give those who have aspirations to being in clan wars, who probably don't have the experience in clan wars or whatever, to basically get some experience under the clan tag that they're under. For whatever reason. So, I mean, that to me is not a bad thing. Because one of the problems I've always found with clan wars, and we're talking the professional stuff here, we're not talking, quick tours and normal clans now, we're talking pro clans, is that they break up so quickly because players aren't getting enough game time, or they're not in the top team, or they've got no way of breaking into the top team, or whatever reason, and they clans generally break up and the players go off all over the place. And I'll give you an example. I've heard today, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard rumors that some of the players from Raid are leaving Raid and moving to Endgame and Kana. So it does happen, okay? If the top 8 aspirations aren't there for these big players, they jump ship. So this is one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like the restriction that you can only put one team into PYS. Now, I appreciate that means that there can be abuse, and there can be. And the abuse centers around cups. It's all about cups, okay? And we'll get to that later. But, PYS is one thing. Only one team, the clan can only put one team into the next stage, which be that Pro Tour or be that Challengers. They can't field multiple clan teams. They can only field one. Now, it's up to them at that stage to pick who they want to use. Do they want to use players from Team A or players from Team B? It's up to them. They have to put their roster in. Their roster goes in, and that roster is then, I believe, locked. They can't change it once it's in, because the rules are different for the next stage of the tour. It's completely different. And, they brought it in for the Blitz Cup. I don't know if they're going to bring it in for this winter season. The chances are they may do, where in the Blitz Cup they said clans are restricted to two players from a different server. Or
they're doing
from
it.
A different region. So, well, that's in the Winter Pro Tour, yeah? They are doing that.
Yeah, they are doing that. Both in the Winter Season Championship and Challengers.
Well, there you go. I mean, which is fair. It's fair enough. But there's no restriction as such in PYS, and this is the thing. And this is, so there's two ways to play PYS. It's either A, find a system whereby having more than one clan does not give you a big, massive benefit. I.e., if your first clan fails, your second clan gets the cups, then the cups get counted. Or B, restricted to one clan, and that's the one team, and that's the thing I'm struggling with, because, as I said, I'm all about inclusivity rather than exclusivity. So I would rather they found a way, and people didn't. I mean, I had a suggestion, but everybody mocked it, which was saying, well, if you're going to put in three teams, then you say this is Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3. And by the way, Team 1 is the team that's going to get all my cups. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And work it that way, and that sort of gets around certain things. But again, it's just an idea. I mean, there has to be a lot of thought processes around that and how it all works. But the fact of the matter is, we've only got two ways to do it. We either A, lock a clan into having only one team participate, which, as I said, is it's restrictive, or we find a way to allow more teams from the same clan in, but there has to be rules that regulate that somehow. And that's the thing. I mean, and that's I'm not interested in the MM or the win rate seeding or whatever at this stage, because to be honest with you, when it comes to seeding, my opinion, is the only way you're going to get really good, proper seeding is if you go to league. And you've got to start trying to have leagues. And if you have leagues, then you can have a proper seeding. Well, that's not based on win rate, but it's based on the clan. And the clan is seeded, not the players based on their ability to play in random battles, to be honest with you. But that's a different argument for a different day. But that's the way I see that. It's either A, you're restricted to only one team per clan, or you find a way to allow other teams of the same clan to enter, but they don't get a benefit. They don't get an advantage somehow. I don't know how you're going to do that, is the honest answer. Real terms.
Yeah, right.
So let's move. So that's the first one. The first one is the ability to put in two teams. The second one is 100% win rates. Okay.
Yep.
Now, again, there is nothing in the rules about 100% win rates. There's nothing in there. If you want to put a guy into your team who's got a 100% win rate because he's played one battle in random and then played 300 in ratings, that's up to you. It's again a flaw in the seeding mechanism used by wargaming that is being exploited by the teams, and which they're entitled to do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, though, Jack. It doesn't matter.
I know.
I'll give you an example.
I mean, I know, like some of the teams who use 100% real accounts didn't work out for them in the end. I mean, I know that.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of it.
No, I'm not
You
too.
know, I've been very vocal on it. But the fact of the matter remains is this: even in real life, we bend the rules as much as we can. I mean, if you're a driver, if you drive, how many of you speed? I bet every single one of you do. Even if it's 1 kilometer or 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, you're breaking the rules, guys. But you still do it. Okay, and that's different because we have a set rule there. The rule is you will not go this fast. And if we go over that, then we're breaking the law, and we know we're breaking the law. What we have in this scenario is nothing. There's no rule, no law saying you can only use players with X amount of battles in random and with whatever. So they're going to take the advantage and say, well, hang on a minute. If I got 500% win rate players in my team, then I'm going to get preferential MM, and that's much better for me because it means I don't play endgame first off. It means I don't play Kana or Akva until maybe the quarter or semi-finals. I have a much easier route in. And that's a loophole that is being created purely by the organizer. And clans will therefore exploit that loophole so they don't have to meet those bigger clans. It's as simple as that. It's not the clan's fault. They're gaining a benefit and an advantage over something that should be closed. And it should have been closed a long time ago. Now, unfortunately, the reason we have this is because win rate seeding at this moment in time, I know they're changing it, so we'll get onto that in a moment, by the way, because I've had it on good authority. They are changing it, and 100% win rates won't matter going forward after these tournaments. It was the fairest way to find out, where do we stick the clans? You know, how are we going to do this? It was the fairest way to do it. You know, you get a new clan coming in. They're full of guys who've never done any tours before. They're just a bunch of mates who want to have a crack at it. They've all got 48% win rates, but they've all been playing ratings for the last 6 months, and they're all pretty good players. You don't want them knocking out endgame or raid first off. That's the thing. You don't want that. It's as simple as that. So it was the fairest way that we had, in that wargaming had at the time. Now, you have to appreciate, at the time, clans hadn't got onto this. Oh, if I use 100% win rates, then I get better MM, because that didn't exist then. And the more you try to drill down, the more loopholes will be looked at. And that's the thing. People do this. It's professional sports. They do it all the time. They will look for every single loophole that isn't breaking the rules in order to gain an advantage. So it's not the clan's fault that they're using 100% win rates. So you can't go around and say, Souls, you're really bad because you've got 100% win rate players. Who cares? It doesn't matter. If they've got 100% win rate players and they go on and win the tournament, then well done. They prove their point. They prove their skill. If, however, like we saw in the autumn season last year, Mercy not getting even into the top whatever with their 100% win rates, then you turn around and say, well, you know, it's your own stupid fault. You didn't prove yourselves. So I haven't got a problem with it at this moment in time in that respect. But it does need to be closed. It definitely needs to be closed. And the only people who can do that is wargaming. And, you know, I'm all for, I'm totally against trial by community. And I'm all for, the fault doesn't lie with the clan. The fault lies with the organizers. The organizers need to shut down the loopholes. Simple. If they shut it down and the clans still do it, that's a different argument, because then the clans are breaking the rules and they need to be kicked, punished, banned, whatever. Don't care. But until the organizers bring in the rule, clans are breaking the rule. That's my point. That's the point I'm getting at. So over to you on win rates now.
Me, I mean, it's I mean, you've mentioned quite a lot of good points already concerning that. I think, I mean, it's proven that with better win rate overall, and then with 100% win rate counts and such, you get better seeding. So so that means you get an easier draw. You go past through the stages more easily. I think that's proven, and I think that should be plugged as well, because no clan should benefit in a manner that is that's not something that is in a way outside of like through the normal trainings and so on, through the kind of the hard working ways, the kind of like the win rate seeding rigging. Not I do not want to use the word rigging here, but using the advantage with win rate seeding. I think the method we are given with it's a way that doesn't require a lot of effort, doesn't require a lot of hard training with other lots of scrimmages with a lot of different clans, and I think this should not be encouraged, and this should be removed as soon as possible, hopefully. However, that being said, not a lot of clans. I mean, some clans do use this advantage. Some make it. Some use it to a really good advantage for themselves. And I mean, they themselves are also somewhat of a good clan that we see with APA, and they benefit from that quite a lot. Yes, I mean, they also have to prove themselves in order to be one of the top clans. I mean, they have to beat Raid 2-1 and then Aqua 2-1 as well. I mean, they have to still do something, as we can also see Shadow 3 100% win rate accounts not even close to the top 16. And you can see you still have to do something in order to do really well. But then
you still have to play.
Yeah. You still have to play, you still have to do exceptionally well in order to be one of the bunch. But another thing that I really don't like about teams that are able to make use of the seeding, it's not just the 100% win rate accounts. Even the teams which look very normal, you can't really tell whether they are really using the system to the advantage. So it's not just about going into a really top seeding in order to be benefited by the draw and something like that. You can, I mean, because the previous skill tournament is done in a strongest weakest principle. In theory, you should be able to work out where the seeding will put you in that bracket. So if you do a lot of researches and so on, you can work out a way to find out how the teams are supposedly seeded. And when you have like the top 20 or 30 teams being in similar seeding, then in theory, you can tailor a team such that your team is in a particular seeding. For example, you want to be in the 9th in the seeding because the 9th seeding gives you the most advantage. In that way, you can tailor your squad to put yourselves into that seeding specifically, and we cannot tell anything from that. You can use 100% win rate accounts, but you can also not use 100% win rate accounts. We will never know. So from that seeding, I think Wargaming should also change this, because and I think Wargaming needs to consider this problem as well. That it's the seeding we have right now is quite easily manipulated to your own team advantage, and in not a good way, where it's not done through hard training and so on. And I hope Wargaming with a new CD, the problem with the easiness of manipulation would be reduced as much as possible. So I really hope to see that. And another problem thing is concerning with the Phantom teams, which I coined this term.
Well, let's stay on seeding for the moment, because I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Across all the servers that you're watching, and you're doing NA, EU, and Asia.
Yes.
Looking at the top, I don't know, let's say the top 12.
Yep.
Not the top 8, not the top 4. Looking at the top 12, can you say with a hand on your heart that none of those clans belong there in the top 12? I mean,
I'm looking at
none. I'm looking Yeah, because of win rate seeding manipulation. Because I'm looking at them now. I'm just taking NA for example, and I'm seeing the top 8. I'm just looking at the top 8, and that's pretty much the top 8 that I would expect to see on NA.
Yep.
I'm looking at Asia, and that again is there's the ENT, DUR, and GSM have taken me by surprise, but it's pretty much based on their performance, the top 8 that I'm expecting to see.
True.
And EU is very close. I mean, that's why I said look at 12, because we've also got the likes of BPS, Souls, Loka. It's very close in raid. It is very close on EU between 12 and 5. But the top 8, realistically, well, at least the top 6, pretty much what I'd expect on EU at the moment.
Yep, that is true. Though.
So as much as there is win rate seeding, it hasn't over time. It hasn't really diminished what we would expect to see in the tables. Not really. There's no ringers in there. They're saying, "Oh my God, they're only there because they've got 100% win rates." Because the fact of the matter is, regardless of if you get an advantage in your MM, you still got to play the game. And, you've still got to play against other clans, and you've still got to have the strats, and you've still got to put the effort in. And if you don't, then you're not going to get the cups. It's as simple as that. You're going to be knocked out. So as much as I understand that it looks like an advantage, no real advantage, really, because the tables are sort of looking as we would expect them to look in real terms.
I would put it in this way though. You still have a big advantage, but you still have to play really well. So I mean, still have to play well. That's the point as well. It hasn't gone to the point that you don't have to play good at all in order to be in the top 8. It hasn't happened like that. And I think the number of previous skill tournaments, we have 8, which I think is a good number to kind of even things out. And I mean, you see the first 2 previous skill tournaments, like the top 8 is not the top 8 we are expecting, but then when we're going into the 7th, now tomorrow we're going into the 8th previous skill tournament, then that I mean, you see the top 8 or even the top 16 will be pretty much what we're expecting currently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it may look like an advantage is given, but in real terms, it's not. It just feels that way because they've still got to play. They've still got to turn up on the day and churn out the goods, and they've still got to progress forward. So as much as I say, it may be getting a benefit. In real terms, it doesn't. So you were going to move on to something else now. Phantom clans, you were saying, or phantom teams.
Phantom teams, yes. I was that happened already back in the autumn season. There. I don't know what the exact plan is, but I mean, just going to briefly describe what it means. The phantom teams, they have their teams in the tournament registered, but they never show up in the tournaments. For example, this season we're seeing DORSZ being the Phantom team. They always register the team for the previous Q tournament, but they never show up. The games end very quickly for them because they never show up. Yeah, I think one good thing, not good thing. I mean, one reason they might be doing that is just maybe they are just purely trolling and something like that. But then there is another reason which I'm not sure if it's the true intention, but it's something that could be potentially destructive. Is that they might be trying to get into particular seeding to bump down some of the top 8 hopefuls into a lower seeding so that they will face one another at an earlier stage. Because under the current seeding method and also the idea that the brackets are drawn because we are doing the strongest, weakest principle, the lower down the seeding, the higher chance you guys, the teams there will meet one another at an earlier stage. So it can be argued that with a phantom team in the seeding, is the intention being trying to knock those top 8 clans. I mean, having those top 8 clans at an earlier stage so that it might benefit your main team in the end. That's speculative though. It could just be that.
I mean, that's a big ask. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the pro players are always looking for ways and means to improve their chances and whatever. but that's a big ask. You're now asking for collaborations with other clans to put in teams that don't exist. And
How? I mean,
I think
it could be
well,
affiliated though.
yeah, yeah.
You never know.
Then well, there's just too many variables because you don't know what group you're going to be put in or anything. And I do know. I mean, I streamed. I think it was Serenity. I'm pretty sure it was Serenity the other day.
Right.
And their first game out, they went against a clan I'd never heard of. I think it was a German clan. And bless them, they only had, I think it was 5 players in the first game.
Right.
And obviously they got absolutely annihilated by Serenity.
Mm.
And then in the second game, I think they had 6 players.
Right.
So you will get this, because one of the things I always turn around and say to people is, and doesn't matter what clan you're in, guys, give the PYS tour a go, because that's an easy way to earn credits. Even if you go out in the first round, you still get a shed load of credits. So, I mean, so you do get clans doing it for that reason. You get clans sticking in. I mean, how many credit, just logging onto the game, because I can't remember how many credits you get. So excuse the noise, because you'll hear the game as I'm just logging in quickly to see. Because you get credits, even if you go out in 32 or something. I just want to see how many credits you actually get, because I've forgotten off the top of my head. I mean, you might get lucky. I mean, some of these teams get lucky and they get a buy. which means you get even more credits, I think. Let's have a look. So prove your skill, number 8. Boards. If I go out and I go out in the first 32, I get a million credits for my clan to split between us. So I mean, that's not bad from 9th to 16th place. And then and the credits go up and up. And this is the thing that some people put teams in just to try and get those credits. That's why they do it. I don't think it's anything other than that, to be fair.
But
I think it's a big ask, because there's so many variables. You don't know what group you're going to be put in. You don't know who you're going to be paired with, etc., etc.
But I mean,
hey, Brian, how you doing? Hey.
Hello. But with I'm going to say hello to everyone on my chat as well, because I haven't done so. I'm going to say hello to everyone.
Everybody, that's what you meant to do.
Yeah, and also hello to Infinite Sins, because he said he wants his name to be mentioned, so I'm going to mention his name. But
Nice.
But what we see about DORS and also some of the clans back in the autumn season as well, they have exceptionally high win rate. So they will put that means they will put themselves in a really high win rate seeding, and then I don't want to repeat my points with that.
They're rerolls, surely. They're rerolls.
Yeah, they're rerolls, and also because they have really good win rates, they put the team there up at a really high seeding. So inevitably, it will knock down the clans below. As I said, it could just be them trolling all the time. But I think my main point is that if the team who never shows up in like the previous guild tournament, it means that they will never. It means they probably would never ever show up. So I think there needs to be some regulation or some sort to kind of.
There is a regulation. There is a regulation, but Wargaming never seem to action it. And if you are entered into a tournament, as a player, and you don't turn up for that tournament, then you get you automatically get a downvote on your military honor. Okay. Fail to turn up to tournament. I think what Wargaming need to do, they need to implement a system whereby after X amount of downvotes for missing a tournament, you're banned from tournaments. Simple as that.
Yeah, that is what I was about to suggest. If, for example, if that team and also the players that within there, if they fail to show up for like 3 previous guild tournaments, I think that team should not be permitted to participate in the previous guild tournament. Simple as that, I think. In my opinion.
Maybe there should be a rule. Maybe Wargaming should say, if a team misses, I don't know, 3 tours consecutively or 5 tournaments, or whatever. If they miss 3 in a row, that's consecutively, or if they miss 5 in all, then they should be banned from entering any PYS tournaments.
Yep.
For the rest of the year, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
That would then stop that. That would then defeat that object, and the problem goes away again. But it's again. It sits with the organisers, doesn't sit with the clans, and this is the thing I'm trying to point out.
But Wargaming did promise me that they are looking into this, which I hope they're going to do something about it. Wargaming did say they are going to. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to actually say it out loud, but I mean already said it. So, but they are looking into this option, whether it's a punishable offense. But anyway.
Well, it is a punishable offence. I mean, it's on military honour. If you miss a tournament, you get downvoted, and it's the same as chat bans. If you get X amount of people can complain about you for bad chat, you get a chat ban. If you're a repeat offender when it comes to missing tournaments, and this is shown because it's an automatic downvote. People don't downvote you; it's automatic. You miss a tournament, and Wargaming automatically downvote you. Okay,
yep.
Simple.
Yeah.
So if you got 10 of these downvotes, you are a repeat offender of not turning up at tournaments. Then you should not be allowed to be in a tournament. Simple as that.
Yeah, I hope Wargaming is going to do something exclusive. Yeah. Yeah.
Rolling's just saying Wargaming promising to look into something is it's a thing. That's why I laughed because yeah.
Well, let's hope they're really looking into that. But I mean, they said it about. I mean, you said that Wargaming, in good authority, says they are going to change the seeding. So,
what I got from them, to be fair, and that's why I say it's in good authority. I actually pinned them down and asked them a specific question and said, "Look, this needs to be addressed." Yeah. And the response I got back was, we have worked on something that. In fact, I'll actually read out the message. It's easier, I think. So that way I never get to bugger it up. So the message I got back from Wargaming is: we have worked hard on a new formula to determine win rate teams. When it is ready, which is shortly, accounts with 100% wins will no longer give an unfair advantage. That's the message I got.
Right. But I mean, further to the point of 100% win rate accounts, as I have my argument with kind of a potential malicious idea with using phantom teams. The same goes for 100% win rate accounts. Yeah, which I think is not intentional, because I think it's done for themselves only, not done to harm other clans, unless you're going into really that deep there. But it also inevitably kind of dumps that puts the top 8 hopefuls without using the 100% accounts and win rate seedings and so on. It puts these clans down the seeding so that once again they will face one another at an earlier stage, which is not something that a working seeding should be doing. A lot of people actually miss the point of what a seeding is and think you're allowed to do so, and why do you not do it? Which, fair point, but a working seeding, a seeding is used in a tournament or in a competition such that the teams are matched in a way that the strong teams, we are using the strongest weakest principle, such that the strong teams don't face another strong team at a really early stage. I think that and the weaker teams.
But to be fair, that's not really happened. I've streamed on Asia when I've had Feast facing up against RN or HLV or wherever it was, like in the first game. And we've had, and I'm not talking about the final stage because the final stage is different.
Yep.
And I've had streams whereby my streams ended early because the team I'm following. Wargaming have given me a team thinking they're going to make it all the way through to either the semi-final or final.
Yeah,
it was out in the first game. My Asian streams this week, they didn't get past the first game. Neither of them. One of my EU streams didn't get past the first game, so I had to have another team. So, the weakest, the strongest, weakest principle, to
Yep.
be fair, isn't fully working in that respect because strong
No.
teams are still meeting strong teams. I've lost count of how many times in the first PYS that Weird Vale were facing Akva or Endgame. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I was seeing other teams getting buys left, right, and centre. So in our win rate is actually quite good. To be fair, we haven't used 100% win rate players in the main team, and we're still getting really dodgy, MM at the beginning, and it's just the way it is. And I think what needs to happen realistically is Wargaming need to have a whole look at the whole way they do the seeding.
Yeah.
Fair.
And, I mean the seeding. I mean, if it's in the in the single elimination knockout stage, well, I mean, what the previous skill is supposed to do in that kind of format, whereby the strongest clans should be able. I mean, the number of cops should be distributed in accordance to the ability of the clans, from the strongest to weakest. I think this is the perfect scenario for wargaming, I believe. But so far, it hasn't worked out. The reason why we don't use a random seeding is because we want to assign the teams with the right number of cops, but it hasn't been working really well. And I think that is the seeding is there to help sort out the teams in a right order in terms of ability. Yeah, and this is why I say the seeding should be changed. Although you can use 100% win, everyone can use the 100% win rate account.
Of course they can. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, that you can use the 100% win rate account. But the main thing why we want the seeding to be changed is that because how the tournament is supposed to be played, how the tournament is supposed to be drawn, it has not been fulfilling that requirement, and that needs to be changed.
I mean, I'm still waiting for somebody, one of the big clans on the CIS server, to send me a clan invite because I've got a 100% win rate on CIS. I have.
But you haven't got tier 10, right?
I can buy one. It's not a problem. There's a premium out there somewhere. 2 seconds. Lone Wolf asked me a question. Anyone know testing of the 60? I'm testing the Object 260, but it's a super test. So don't listen to. I've seen the video that's been put out. It's on the test. It's literally on the super test, guys. I mean, this is the first rough draft of a tank.
Yeah.
Okay. So it ain't the tank that you're going to get. So and I can't talk about it. All I can tell you is this. I am testing the Object 260. It is in my garage at this moment in time. I have played it. That's all I will say on it. But that ain't the tank you're going to be getting. And the reason we super test it is we're telling Wargaming what how to balance the tank. If it needs to be balanced, if it needs to be changed, if what we think is good, what we think is bad, blah, 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 blah. Right. So the tank you're seeing on the videos on YouTube at the moment is not the tank that will come out. It's simple.
I mean, the AMX M4 MLE54 is a really good example. I think it was hyped to be one of the most powerful tier 10 tanks. Yeah, in the game. In the end, it actually some of them actually claim it to be one of the worst. So you never know.
No, we're super testing two at the moment. We're super testing the 260 and the Cannon Jaeger, whatever it's called, which is a tier 8 PD. And all I will say is they're super tests. So don't even think that these are the tanks that are going to grace the end of the day. They're not. They are nothing like what you will get. And the Emil 1951 is another prime example. I mean that thing had to have its release date delayed while they nerfed the Emil. So because the Emil 1951 was, for all intents and purposes, slightly stronger than the Emil in the tech tree. They've had to nerf the tech tree version, which meant they had to nerf the 51 as well. So yeah, you're not going to get the tanks that you see. And I've super tested a few, not just those two. I mean, I've looked at the upcoming Polish tier 10, or is it Polish? Polish tier 10 and tier 9 or whatever. And again, they're not the tanks that you're going to get in the game. So,
Yep.
so that's why we test them.
Besides that, from my
By the
chat,
way.
by the way, Capsule wants to say hi to you, Fugit. So
Hi, Capsule. How you doing, mate?
yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. Don't. When you see goes on what they're testing, don't think that's what the tank's going to be, because it won't. It'll be changed massively. And the thing is, none of the testers can talk about it, so they can't say if the armor's good or bad. They can't say if the gun's good or bad, if it's fast, if it's slow, if it's this, if it's that. We can't say anything about it other than it's on the test, and what you'll see ain't going to be the finished product. Telling you that for a fact. There we go.
True.
So, what was the next one after that? We dealt with phantom teams. We dealt with seeding.
I think I have made three main points. That I think it's that wargaming, the current problems with the current the winter season, concerning with the loopholes and so on. I did say about we did mention about 100% winner accounts, the win rate seeding, which I have already mentioned, which I have regarded as abusable seeding. So it's not just 100% winner accounts. You can use any sorts of accounts tailored to a specific win rate, so that you can get an advantage from being in a particular seeding, not just being in the top, maybe at a particular position. I think not just being the seeding being a little bit easily manipulated, that should be fixed. The seeding should be fixed in a way that is less manipulative, but I don't manipulable. That's a word, even
manipulated or manipulable. Yeah, manipulable doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you get my point there. That the seeding should be less manipulable. I love this word.
Manipulative.
Yeah, and I before we jump into like the big hot stuff there, I do mention I am a little bit frustrated, maybe that's a bit too strong of a word, that I think sometimes rule violations, if there are like substantial evidence or like big allegations that a team has violated certain rules, I think, in my opinion, wargaming should start investigating within the season, so that it will minimize the impact of the violators as much as possible. So I think that some clans are accused of violating the rules, and there are even some proofs, like there is even some evidence probably suggesting the violation happened. So in my opinion, I think sometimes if something is really suggests that the violation has been done, then I think an investigation should take place like as soon as possible, rather than like after like a particular stage.
Well, they generally wait till the end. Well, the reason they wait till the end is it's difficult to do the investigation now. So they wait till the end so they have more time. And what happens is, if a particular clan is found to be in violation, then that clan gets booted and the clan below them gets elevated.
Yeah.
So, which is a normal system. So I have no problem with that.
But I mean, we are talking about 8 previous skill tournaments. If that violation happened like at a very early stage, I mean, also in the middle stage as well, then
they start investigating as soon as it's been made aware to them. As soon as a ticket is raised, they will start investigating.
Yeah, because I'm getting like 2 different versions from this. Because from one version I'm getting is that the investigation will only take place after the previous skill tournament stage. Another version I get is that they have started the investigation already and they have not concluded anything about that.
Right,
so
they won't conclude. But what they do, the moment a ticket is raised, and it's all about tickets, okay? It's not about what people say on Discord. It's not about any of that. So basically what happens is this: 2 clans go out, face off each other. It's the clan, effectively, it should be the team captain or the clan lead, effectively the team captain of the team that feels that the other team has violated, has to raise a ticket.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think they've done it already. So
Okay,
yeah.
and then as soon as the ticket is raised, then
Mhm.
Wargaming will start their investigation.
Okay. Then
They may not
was...
they may not take action until after the tour,
Mhm.
but they will continue their investigation. Hey, Happy, how are you doing?
Right.
So yeah, it's not that they wait until the end of the tour to investigate. No, they don't. They investigate throughout the tour. And the reason they do it that way, and I'll just put you in the picture, they'll never tell you the full mechanisms that they use because obviously it's secret.
Yep.
But one of the things that they do is they see if there's any more violations. So, for example, account sharing. Let's say it's account sharing that someone's said something. Okay,
Right.
then they will track that account effectively, and they'll cross-reference the IP addresses, blah blah blah. Yeah, because that's the only way they can truly. Because they need to discount: are they using a VPN?
Yes.
And, are they traveling? Is it a reasonable distance that they've traveled? Blah blah blah. So, are they playing in a shop and followed by a railway station, or are they at a university and playing at university and then playing at home, where there will all be different IP addresses? So they track it. That's the reason why it takes so long, because when they pull that trigger, it's a big trigger to pull, banning people for account sharing. They pull that trigger. They want to know it's absolutely correct. Now, the reason I say that is because they did this in autumn season, and it wasn't correct. So
there are lots of false positives.
Well, Toby got banned from Raid, and he was like, "What? Hey, I don't account share." And Elon's from Immor also got banned, and
Thomas as well.
No, it was not Toby. It was Thomas. Yes, it was Thomas, not Toby. My mistake. Thomas got banned, and Elon's got banned. And if you know Elon's, I don't think the guy's ever broken a rule in his life. So it was a big shock for him.
Yeah, but I think one of them was actually guilty, which I think, if I remember correctly, it was Lean. I don't know.
I can't remember, but Elon's was totally not guilty, and Wargaming apologized and said no, it was our mistake, because that's why they take their time over these things.
Yeah,
they don't just pull the button straight away. They have to try and make sure, because there's a lot at stake. There is a lot at stake at this level, and this is the point I'm trying to make. I mean, I saw a message earlier from Rolling Swarm, not on this stream, but in his Discord. And he's quite correct. And, we're talking esports here. And as much as you want to turn around and say, oh, but PYS is not esports, the next chapter, which is the Winter Championships or the Challenges, is the esports side. Well, no, not really. The PYS is also esports. It's the run-up to the professional championships. It's as simple as that. So you've got to expect that if the rules are not tight in PYS, money and real money is up for grabs in this. Okay, so clans, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, will utilize whatever they can, as I said, as long as it's not breaking the rules, to obtain a benefit. That's real. That's the world we live in, guys. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. And if you're going to have strict rules on the Pro Tour, which is the Winter Championship, then maybe, just maybe, you need to scratch your head a little bit and think, maybe we should extend that down to PYS as well. A lot of these things then disappear.
Yep.
So that's the thing. That is a big thing. So, I mean, there is a lot of trial by community in Blitz. I must admit there is. I'm not a big fan of it. We're entitled to our opinions, and we are entitled to our views and our opinions. But I've seen a lot of stuff about emulators. And I remember, Ernest has still got an aimbot apparently, but he's in Aqua now, so it's okay. He hasn't got an aimbot. Okay, he doesn't have an aimbot. It's as simple as that. And there's talk about emulators, and there's talk about this and that. Until there is tangible, real evidence that wargaming can actually pin something on, this is just our mere suspicion. And we can have that suspicion, and there's no harm in having that suspicion. There's no harm in turning around and saying, I don't think it's right that clans should have emulators, for example. But it's wrong to say I don't think it's right that Clan X are using emulators unless we're 100% certain they are using emulators. It's different. This is what I'm saying about the wording. So we need to look at the way we put things across to get our point across without demonizing at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean there, and I totally think that it's fine when you're going to take time to investigate. I think the main point I was trying to make, where I was getting frustrated, is that the investigation didn't start like immediately, but as you said,
No, they do.
They do now, and then yeah, I think it's totally fine if they going to take time.
As soon as a ticket is raised, they start their investigation. But as you can appreciate, at this level, because there is a lot at stake, they've got to get it right. So they've got to get as much information as possible, and that's what they do. And you will generally find with some of these investigations, as you've seen on summer season and on autumn season last year, the penalties only come in after the tour.
Yep.
Because that's when they've wrapped up their investigation fully.
Yep.
And then they've got all the information in front of them to say, okay, we now think that this person, we are pretty certain this person has been account sharing, because there's no way they can be playing in Vietnam on day one and then 12 hours later be playing in Australia. It's just not possible. It's impossible. And then the day after they were in Thailand. That's just not possible again. So they are able to track this way. I don't know how they do it, and that's why it takes so long, and that's why the punishments come out at the end. And for serious violations, where it's pretty straightforward, boom, straight away, and they will ban during the tour. They will take action during a tour. I've seen clans previously take it, removed from a tour. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's not happened yet because
nope.
A lot of people have not been. There's no massive breaches of it yet, and as I said. It's not easy to track fully if a clan is using an emulator or not. Not really. It's not that easy. That's a lot of information that Wargaming have got to get, and it's a big accusation that they've got to do. And you, as the person raising the ticket, you've got to give that evidence of why that person is using an emulator. That's difficult to do.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy, and it's that's the thing. So that's why it takes a bit long. But no, they start the investigation as soon as the ticket's raised.
But that's good to hear.
This is the main point. I mean, you have to appreciate the ticket has to be raised. You can't just go onto Discord, chaps, and say, "Oh, by the way, I watched this game and this clan is it was doing this X, Y, and Z." That ain't gonna wash. You've got to raise a ticket. And you've got to send evidence. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you do that, then nothing's going to happen. Don't sit there. I mean, look, every single person on my stream and on your stream plays the game. So every single person knows how bullshit military honor is. So don't use it.
Oh yeah.
Use the tickets. Okay?
Yeah. True.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So you've got to get around it that way.
Yeah. Think
hello,
next...
Adam. How you doing?
Hello, Adam. I think the final point that I think we're going to all talk about, which I think some teams have come under fire because of this potential problem that is raised, which I sum it up to be the inaccuracy of the representation of the clan in the next stage when we're talking about Winter Season Championship and the Challengers Tournament. I mean, either one of the next stages we're talking about. And from this main problem here, it involves a lot of different aspects that could lead to inaccuracy of the reputation of the clan in the next stage, which I think Fugit and I have a lot of arguments on this on this topic where we quite have a lot of disagreements with what should be done and is it actually I don't know if I got you wrong about this, but it's also like kind of unsportsmanlike to perform such kind of such kind of action in the problem of inaccurately representing your clan in the next stage, which
Okay. Let me just get one thing out the way pretty clear.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so there are two things that fall under on sportsmanship behavior. Okay, two
Yeah.
things in the real world. We're not talking about the rules now. We're talking about what we all think.
Yeah.
What one may think is unsportsman, another person will think is perfectly fine and dandy and acceptable.
Yeah.
What one may think is morally wrong, another person may think is morally correct. So when we're talking about these, they're very objective. They're very subjective. Okay,
Yes.
I meant to say
Yeah.
not objective. They're subjective views, and because they're so subjective, they're very wide. That they're not narrow. Okay, when you break a rule, it's very objective. You either broke the rule or you didn't. You know, it's pretty cut and dry. There can be interpretation of, well, did that action really break that rule? Again, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, if someone is playing AFK at the back of a game because his mate is on the other team and he wants him to, or you know, he plays in such a way in a grill to block his teammate from shooting another team, you know, then these things are breaches of the rules, and there's arguments, but it's pretty clear. So when we talk on sportsmanship behavior and when we talk about morals, these are very subjective things. So they are wide for interpretation. They're not as clear cut as one would think. And I can give you 101 examples of that. And before you get into what you're going to go to, so I just want to make this clear first. Let's take Raid last year's spring season, okay, with the tickets.
Yeah.
Now, I said at the very beginning of this stream and sort of made the point throughout this stream, we are talking professional esports. Clans will do anything as long as you're not breaking the rules to gain an advantage. Raid last season in spring season did not get the ticket to get to the next stage. By not getting the ticket to the next stage, Raid were in danger, real danger of dropping out of the top 8. So they recruited players who had tickets to get into the next stage. Okay, simple. That's not a breaking of the rules. The rules did not disallow for that then. There's no cheating going on. There's no rule breaking going on. What they're doing is exploiting a loophole. There was nowhere that said you couldn't do this. Now, a lot of people then turn around and say, oh, well, it's bad sportsmanship. Is it really? They've done something to advance themselves. They're not breaking the rules. They've not done anything like that. You could think it's morally, it's not correct. But why is it not correct? If you were in that clan raid and you were in that situation, would you have considered it yourself? Yes or no? I mean, that's the question. And if the answer to that question is, well, potentially yes, then it's not bad sportsmanship and morally it's not wrong. If the answer to that question is no, 100% no, I would never do that, then your moral compass is swinging in a different direction than somebody else's moral compass. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that there are two different views. And it's the same as the other day. And my other example, although I don't think Seeking Destroy is here, but he shot me down for it, BPS versus Serenity. Now, BPS versus Serenity. They played the other day, and BPS beat Serenity. Okay? Yeah. But outside of the issue for both clans, All Gaming's system did not record the result for whatever reason. So they had to replay that game the following day. Now, they replayed the game the following day, and Serenity beat BPS. And a lot of people were up in arms over this. It's bad sportsmanship. This is wrong. How dare Serenity do this? Blah, 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 blah. And, you know, one view could be that. Yes, morally, they were wrong. But consider this. Had they have allowed BPS to win, would they not be then breaching the rule for rigging the game? Which is a rule. It's a rule. You know, it's not a moral thing anymore. That's actually a rule. You cannot throw the game. You cannot give the other chance. You can't rig the game so the other team wins it. That's a rule. It's a simple. Not only that, Serenity in their own right are a competitive pro clan. They also want to get into the top 8. Not their fault they had to replay the game. They were given an advantage. Rightly or wrongly, it was not their fault, and they took the advantage. Now, they beat BPS, and they went on, and they're now in, what, 4th place, 5th place? And they've been on fire ever since that day. They're in 4th place. They've been on fire since that day. It's not their fault. It's not BPS's fault. It's nobody's fault other than Wargaming, is my point. Wargaming created that situation, not Serenity and not BPS. And you may sit there thinking that BPS were wrong. Serenity were wrong. They should have given the result to BPS. But then Serenity would have been guilty of actually breaking a rule and a law. And that is wrong.
Actually, it's interesting actually because we do have examples before. I mean, not in World of Tanks Blitz esports. One example I can think of immediately is in football, where we have Leeds versus Aston Villa. I think Leeds actually scored a goal, which that goal was not ruled out by the referee, but then it was somewhat I'm not sure if it's like obvious, but quite a lot of people think that the goal should not have been allowed. But what Leeds United did after is that they just stood there doing nothing and then allow Aston Villa to score a goal back. So in that respect,
was that Leeds in Aston Villa, or was that Arsenal in Sheffield? I thought it was Arsenal in Sheffield.
No, it was.
But they
Leeds.
had to do a replay. And Arsenal just stood there and let Sheffield shoot and score. So...
Yeah. So no, it's Leeds United versus Aston Villa, if I remember correctly. And in the end, you can see that Leeds United allowed Aston Villa to score a goal. So you can argue that it's like throwing, but it's also kind of controversial, and like whether this. I mean, you can argue that it actually breaches the rule of being being intentionally passive, something like that, or you can have a lot of arguments with that. But in the end, actually, Leeds United got the fair play reward for that.
But this is the point, though. I mean, good and bad sportsmanship is very subjective. True. And it's a very, very difficult thing to put a finger on and say, yeah, that's how it should be played. Yeah. And I think what the rule generally is, and it's one of the things I sort of I've mentioned a few times, is you should be playing the game in the spirit of the game. Okay, the spirit of the game. Now that gives a wide interpretation. What one person then thinks is good sportsmanship is up to them, and what another person thinks is bad sportsmanship is up to them. And unless it's the bad sportsmanship and conduct listed in the rules, which is intentionally blocking, etc., then it's open for interpretation.
Yeah.
This is why I keep coming back to everything, or literally rests on the rules. Is it a breach or is it not a breach? And this is the thing. And this is a big thing. So a lot of people were very upset with Serenity, but they hadn't broken any rules. Not at all.
Yeah.
And not being fair, not being funny, and BPS may not appreciate or like me for saying this. It was the same scenario. They could have gone out and beaten Serenity just the same way they did the day before. It's simple as that. All Serenity did was use an advantage that had been given to them, and they managed to turn that advantage into their favor. They didn't ask for it. They didn't want it. It just happened to fall into their lap. So I don't blame them. And I don't see that what they did was bad sportsmanship, is the honest answer. And there's a reason I say that, because I know the subject you're going to get onto.
No. I mean, going back to your point, like, if in the end Serenity did throw against BPS, and maybe that throw is, maybe that's not breaching any rules at all, but if it really breaches any rules, I think we can go back to the point where it's arguable.
It does breach the rules. It's rigging. It's a clear rule, Jack. It's a rule that you argue a lot.
No. I was talking about. No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here. If I mean by throwing, I don't necessarily mean like very intentional throwing. Like maybe they're just
okay.
not playing it at what their level is supposed to be. I mean, maybe we consider that kind of level of like dodgy throwing.
But this is where it gets confusing, you see, Jack.
Yeah.
And this is why I try to sit on the fence on these things.
Yeah.
You can't say on the one hand that, and on the other hand, demonize APA against APA. You can't do that. You can't have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
It's not possible, my friend. This is why I'm saying it's a very grey area. So if Serenity would have played but not played to the best of their ability, then they are equally as guilty as APA's second team against APA. Equally as guilty. What's good for one is good for the other. Is it not?
Yeah.
So this is where it gets complex, and this is why I'm saying, you know, you've got to look at things from a broader perspective, and subjectively we may not like certain things, but that's subjective. And then we have to try and take ourselves out of the subjectivity and look at it from an objective point of view. And, you know, we're all guilty of it, mate. I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, you know, when I commentated the APA game, I was, you know, not very happy with the way they played. When I commentated the Serenity game, I made comments there saying, well, I'm very upset for DPS, but I'm not elated for Serenity. I mean, that's not fair on Serenity. I mean, they did nothing wrong. But that was my subjectivity rather than objectivity coming out. And then when I go objective, well, Serenity throwing the game against BPS is no different. They have done that. It would be no different to Appa's second team throwing against Appa's first team. It's the same at the end of the day. And this is where it gets confusing, so to speak.
I mean, you're right about this. I think what I was bringing in about where, like, the sportsmanship, this kind of term here, it's arguable at the end of the day. Even if something is breached. I mean, we always hear about Robin Hood. I think that's kind of stuff where where I think he did break the rules, but like his intentions are like arguable. So like. It depends.
It depends. If you're on the side of the Sheriff of Nottingham, he's just a criminal that needs to be hung, drawn, and quartered.
Yeah.
If you're a poor person who's starving to death and he's stealing things to give you bread, then he's a hero. I mean, that's the problem with subjectivity.
True.
I mean,
you see the point.
You said, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, just the way it is.
That's the world.
That's kind of the point I was bringing with Serenity. Not that I condone throwing the games, but like you can think of it as this way, where I mean, even if they literally did break a rule in the end, the kind of the sportsmanship they're displaying it's controversial. It's arguable. So.
Well,
you see my point there.
But then you have to then take it to the next level and say, well, hang on a moment. Serenity are a professional clan. Why would they throw it? You know, why wouldn't they play to win? I mean,
yes, I mean, then you have a lot of things to argue about. I mean, this could go on and on forever, and then everyone will have different opinions about that. You might have a different opinion. I might have a different opinion.
That's the point. This is the point. I mean, this is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
I don't care what opinion you have. You're entitled to your opinion, and you are entitled to voice your opinion, and you are entitled to debate it with me. And I'd love that. That is freedom of speech at its basic.
Yes.
And we all have that. Okay?
Yes.
And nobody, unless that freedom is being abused by intentionally causing hatred or harm or suffering to somebody else, then we should be at liberty to express our views and our opinions without being demonized ourselves. Okay. And that is a fundamental thing I believe in. And I will always, you know, I may not agree with you on certain topics, but I'm more than happy to sit and debate with you. And we may never ever reach a position where we fully agree.
Yeah.
But we'll reach a position whereby I will note what you're saying and I will take it on board and say, I've never thought of that. And hopefully you would note some of the things I'm saying, and I've never thought of that as well. And that is the whole purpose of debate. That's the whole purpose of it. And you know, and that should never be pushed aside, and nobody should ever turn around and say, you know, Fugit or Jack, you're both talking bullshit. Jack's right, you're wrong, and you should shut up. That should never happen. That should never happen.
Yeah.
You know, and the day that happens is a very bad day for the whole world. But the other side of that is we have to be careful with the way that we word things. And we have to be careful with our own language. Yeah. And what I said on the big Discord server for Wargaming the other day was, with what's going on with certain things in certain clans, 100% win rates, this and that, it's not the clan's fault. The clans are exploiting a loophole. The organizers have failed to close those loopholes, whatever way. It's the organizers who need to be pressured to shut the loopholes down. The clans should not be demonized. It's not the clan's fault. You may think it's bad sportsmanship, and you can debate that till you're blue in the face. And that's your view, your opinion. Just leave the clans out of it. It's not the clan's fault. And that's my point. You can. I don't care how many people sit there and say it's not right to bring in players from a different server who are really good players to play as a second team in a PYS tour. If you want to debate that, I don't mind. But when people turn around and say, this particular clan did this particular thing, and it's particularly wrong, and it's basically cheating, that's a different thing. I mean, now we're arguing something different, because they've exploited something that is not a breach of the rules, that wargaming need to close down. The failure here, the fault, doesn't lie with the clan. It lies with the organizer. The organizer should put rules in place to prevent such things from happening. Simple. Now, if that were the case, and then the clans did did something, then I would be the first to stand up with anybody and say that clan has broken the rules. That clan needs to have pressure put upon it to be booted or banned or punishment through the yin yang. And I'll be the first to do that. I'll be out up front saying, shouldn't do it, guys. It's a break. You've broken the rules. It's not allowed. And that's a different thing. That's a different argument. Until that happens, I want to keep clans out of things and say, we need to debate this. Right. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. And I think wargaming should look at ways to close this down. What do you think? And then somebody comes on, well, I don't think you're right for this. Then you've got a debate. And then you hopefully work to a solution that can then be put, you can collectively put pressure onto wargaming to shut that out. To make sure it becomes a rule and to close it there and then. So when it happens again, boom, everybody's certain. You break the rule, you're out of there. That's what I'm saying.
True. But then I also would like to point out this.
Hang on a minute. I mean, I just mentioned it to Silver. I mentioned Raid. I did mention it.
Right. I do also have to say one important thing that but we should always advocate for fair competition. We should always advocate. We should discourage anti-competition. I think this is something that I think, as an influencer, we should always do to kind of encourage the competition to be as fair as possible and really discourage any potential usage of any loopholes. But then, as you said, it's not right. It's not okay to keep on shaming the clans and then even personally attack them. I think that is not okay.
I mean, I think, for example, what you just mentioned there about fairness.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people think that I argue these things because I've got whatever this and that. No, I haven't. I'm all about being fair and reasonable across the board. Okay, and I want a level playing field for everybody. And then I have to look at, well, how does that work in real life? Well, we can we can talk about win rates and we can talk about this and we can talk about that. We can take it further. What about clans that may not have the ability to have certain premium tanks or collector tanks, like the T22, for example? And I would say, well, my argument has always been, well, remove premium tanks from tournaments. Simple. But Wargaming won't do that because they want you to see how these pro players play those tanks to entice you to get those tanks. So I come to another conclusion. Okay, then limit the amount of premium tanks that a team can field. Simple as that. And it's how do you get to a level playing field? I mean, the easiest level playing field is you bring in a set of rules that everybody can actually abide by. Now, not everybody can abide by. Not everybody can field a T22 realistically, because they don't have the T22.
Yeah.
But everybody has the ability to field a tech tree tank. Everybody.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So you could change the rule and say no premium tanks, no collectors, only tech tree tanks are allowed. And that is very fair and reasonable across the board because everybody has the same opportunity to get that tank. Which brings me now to the next point, which is 100% win rates and second teams and players coming in from other regions. Hang on. At this moment in time, every clan has the ability to do exactly that. It's not just limited to one clan or this clan or that clan. Every clan, if they wanted to tomorrow morning, could set up a second team with 9 players with 100% win rates. They may be shit. They may be like me on the CIS server. I've got a 100% win rate, but I can't play for Toffee. So, but it doesn't matter. You can still do it. What I'm saying is, it's not the clan's fault that the rules lack this certainty. So the clans can, if the clans are breaking the rules, we may agree or disagree on whether they're being good sports or bad sports. That's neither here nor there. What we can agree on is they're not breaking the rules. Person who is at fault, realistically, is wargaming, and we, as a community, it's a community. As a community, we must put pressure on wargaming, close these things out. It's their responsibility. And if they want a good tour, because we could argue, but doing this devalues the tour, etc. I don't care if it devalues the tour. Wargaming, it's their tour. We need to say to them, you are devaluing your own tour, guys. You're screwing your tour up. Because from where I sit, clan wars and professional tournaments being streamed all over the place is one of the things that you should be screaming from the rafters. Because people watch YouTube and they're going to want to play your game, to play like these guys. It's not just all about videos. So you're devaluing your own tour. Take some time out. It doesn't take long to bring in a set of rules that stops this nonsense. And then everybody's happy. Everybody, I think. I don't understand why they don't do it, personally. And I think the only reason they don't do it is because we as a community aren't putting enough pressure on them. And that's the thing. 1 or 2 people saying it, 100 people saying it in Discord. Yeah, okay, Discord. You really think they read that? Come on. We need to have a better collective way of arguing it. And this is why I've said, as a community contributor myself, as an official, on my Discord, I've said tournament ideas. I've got an entire section on CC. The guys to come in and say, I want you to raise this with wargaming or this with wargaming. This is the only way we're going to get them to change. I'm telling you. Just ask Rolling Swarm. Okay? Rolling Swarm knew that nobody liked ATGMs. He himself eventually didn't like ATGMs. Alone, him and a couple of others can't change wargaming. It took a year to finally change that rule of ATGMs. What we realistically need, Cougar may have thought I was being flippant on Rolling's Discord yesterday. And I said, if that's the collective, then that's what... I wasn't being flippant. I'm basically saying, guys, we need the clan leads of the top 8 clans to jump in and say, we all agree, this shouldn't happen, this shouldn't happen, this shouldn't happen. Even if we only get a majority of the top 8 clans leaders coming in. We've got... Let's say we've got top 16. Let's say 12 of the top 16 come to us as an official CC and say, look, Fugit, we 12 of us don't agree that 100% win rate should be possible, or we 12 of 16 of the top clans don't agree that second team should be allowed, I will take that to Wargaming and argue it. Say, look, the community wants it changed, guys. And you can change it. And don't give me the bullshit that you're not going to change it because CIS is different, because the CIS tournaments are not the same as EU tournaments. They're two different things.
True.
That's what we need to do. And that's what we really need to do. And, you know, this is what I'm saying. I don't like trial by community because it's not the clan's fault. It is Wargaming's failure to get robust rules in place. And they really need to have pressure put on them to change those rules. It's as simple as that. That's how I see it anyway. I don't know how you see it.
Me?
You yourself, yeah.
I do agree that Wargaming also Wargaming needs to do stuff to kind of plug all the loopholes out and then try to in their best ability create as fair of a tournament as possible. But I also do think that the clans. I mean, it's not that we should shame the clans. That's the behavior is not good. I mean, yeah, we can take those clans accountable for some actions. But I mean, the main point is Wargaming also needs to do stuff to kind of plug in the loopholes, but also the clans should also observe and agree with fair play and so on. And but then we should do it
You'll
in
never get
kind
that.
of a risk.
In professional esports, you're not going to get that. That's my point.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know. I know we're not going to expect that. We're not going to get that, but then I think
what you think is
Yeah.
fairness and playing fairly, somebody else may think is, well, that's just daft.
True.
Why would
I mean true. Yeah.
This is the problem. This is where it gets, because you'll get to the point whereby you watch a game and you think, well, hang on a minute. I don't think that was pretty sporting what they just did there. They took 5 mouses. That's not. How far do you take that? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
though.
how far you take it, and this is why having a subjective view isn't always the best. To try and, because you have to think, okay, if I and this is Wargaming's problem. One of Wargaming's problems actually with their rules. You take a scenario. And APA is the best example. The 2 APA games, okay, where they played their second team. So you've got a rule in place, which is no passive play. Okay, did they play passively? No, they YOLO'd. Nobody in the right mind can say that's passive play. It's not. It's not passive. Okay, did they rig? Well, there's no evidence to say they rigged. We have a suspicion, but there's no evidence. There's no way we can determine if there was a collusion to rig that game. We don't know, because APA's main team rolled out with a proper meta and they did a proper strat. So where's the conclusion? Well, we don't know. So any other behavior that we feel is unworthy, well, no, but yes, because now we think, well, hang on a moment. Everybody knows it's stupid rolling out in 7 back chats and then YOLOing. Everybody knows it's stupid ramming mouses with a back chat. Everybody knows throwing 3 back chats into the sea and killing and trying to kill a mouse is just not going to work. Everybody knows this. But their argument could be, well, hang on a moment. We thought that we could have YOLO'd into them in our 7 back chats because they had lumbering heavies. We thought it was a tactic that could have worked. It didn't work. That was all. We thought that pushing the mouse into the sea may have worked. It didn't. That was all. And this is where it becomes difficult, because then you start having people question tactics. Then you have people questioning strats. Then you have people questioning meta selection. I mean, I had somebody on my stream the other day saying, I can't believe this team is taking IS-7s. Are they stupid? Well, why? No, you can't take it to that level. which is why you've got to have those rules in place to bring certainty. Until the rules are in place, all we have is our own view, and our own views may differ. And that's the problem we've all got. And this is the problem we see in the real world. I mean, how far do you take it? Do we start criticizing the meta that the teams have selected? Which is wrong. You can't do that. I mean, I remember you were there on CIS Blitz Cup, where I think it was C4 took 5 AMX 50Bs and 2 Progettos.
Yeah.
Middleburg, and went to the city. We were like, wow, what are they doing? They beat Mercy.
Yeah.
This is, other people could have seen that and said, oh, they're purposely throwing it because they've taken 5 AMXs and 2 Progettos, where Mercy have taken 2 Mouses and whatever. So they're not playing properly. That's the danger area of how far does this filter down, so to speak. That's why I keep coming back to it's got to be done by wargaming. Got to be done. They have got to tighten up these rules. They've got to give certainty, 100%. But then we can turn around and say APA definitely broke the rules. I don't know. Souls are definitely breaking the rules. IMO are breaking the rules. We can point for certainty where they're broken. Until then, we're not being fair on the clans. I don't think. I just don't think we are.
Yeah. I could agree on that though. Which.
In answer to your question, Blitzhanger, where have they got 200% win rates in their second team? By the way, not their first team, second team, because they can. Why have IMO got 100% win rates in their second team, or whatever it is? Why have Souls? Why have APA? Because they can. They're not breaking the rules. They just can. And it may sit there and leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. They can. And that's the problem. And this is what I'm saying. Wargaming need to shut it down. And Yarrow of Pincer, I agree with you. I don't give a and I've said this to Jack before, in autumn season, I think it was. As long as they've got, if you want to use a 100% win rate account, fine. As long as you've got X amount of battles, which is more than 100, because the first 100 battles are against bots, followed by at least 2 tech tree meta, or at least 2 tanks in tier 10 that are in the meta, be it 1 tech tree in the T22, then you can use your account. If you haven't got a tier 10, you shouldn't be entering the tournament because it's just wrong.
Yeah.
And Wargaming need to plug that hole.
I think they have. I think they have already. Someone told me there is a prompt where if you don't have a tier 10 tank, you cannot participate in the tournament.
Correct. In other words, you won't enter the game. You can still put the name forward as part of the team. Doesn't prevent it. And don't forget, you're entitled to 2 subs. And in the Pro Series, you're entitled to 3 subs.
Fugit, I was saying that you aren't even allowed to be in the team if you don't have a tier 10 tank. That's what some people told me.
Because all I know is if you haven't got a tier 10, you can still enter any team. You can still go in any team, regardless of your win rate or what's in your garage. You just can't roll out in a battle.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And what the tournament rules should say, not just clan touch, must be clan touch, must have tier 10.
Yeah. But I hope someone can confirm me on this. But I do get multiple sources that there is a prompt that requires you to have a tier 10 tank at least in your garage, that you can participate in to be in the team. I mean,
it never used to be there. You could enter without having a tier 10, and that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's wrong that you cannot. It's wrong that if you don't have a tier 10, if you're in a team then I think the player should not be in the team in the first place. But I think it is done already. I have multiple sources, but I mean if someone can confirm exactly, that would be really good.
Blitzhanger, just because Imor had no chance to use their 100% win rate account doesn't mean to say they were right. And I'm not saying, and this is the point I'm trying to make, it's not Imor's fault. Okay? They're not breaking the rules. They're not breaking any rule at this moment in time. And until Wargaming, whose fault it does rest with, they are the responsible party. They are the organizer of the tournament. Till they bring in a rule that stops that, it's esports, guys. In esports, in any professional sport, they're going to look for ways and means to use whatever they can that's not a breach of the rules to obtain an advantage. There's nothing wrong with that. That's been going on since time immemorial in all professional sports. So I can't condemn them for that. On the same token, I don't condone the action. That's my personal feelings. My personal feelings are you shouldn't be using certain things. I mean, look, I'll be honest. My personal feelings are this across the board. And I'm in Vale, okay? And these are my personal feelings. You stand alone, okay? If you're worthy of top 8, top 16, or whatever, then you'll prove it in the way you play. You don't need 100% win rate. You don't need second teams. You don't need anything. You'll prove it yourself at the end of the day, okay? And in here, deep down in your heart of heart, you'll know that you're top 8 or you're not top 8. But that's subjective, okay? And people do whatever they can to get an advantage, okay? It's as simple as that. But can everybody hold their heads high afterwards and say, I deserved it? That's a different thing. That's a different thing. You know, and it is a different thing. And, you know, a lot of people will turn around to me and say, oh, but, you know, Vale shouldn't be in the top 8 because of X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of things that could happen. Vale you could say that, but then again, APA shouldn't have been teamed up against their second team in PYS number 3 and got all the way through. This shouldn't have happened in PYS number 4, or that shouldn't have happened in PYS number 5. It happens at the end of the day. It just happens. So, are Vale good enough to be top 8? Yes, they are. They are good enough. When they play and when they put their heads there. I mean, somebody said to me, oh, but they would be below Loka. We beat Loka, and we beat Loka convincingly. And it's not Loka's top team, by the way. And they're not taking it ultra seriously. We beat Loka, and we beat them in our own right, and we beat them convincingly. And we beat Hessop, and we beat all manner of teams in our own right. Do I believe we should be there? Yes. Do I think we've had good MM at the beginning of the tournament? No. We had Aqua and EG after the other. The first, you know, and I literally one after the other. And that's not fair. That's not fair. Why has Soul's got so many buys? We haven't had a single one, I don't think. That's not fair. Why have APA had so many buys? That's not fair. So how far do you want to take this fairness, not fair? Not fair. Because every clan can say, that's not fair, this is not fair. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, and clans do things to address what they perceive to be the unfairness against them. And you have to remember that. You know, Vale didn't have a second team at the first part of our tours. We didn't. And after so many times of being teamed up against EG and bloody ACVA, you start getting in and scratching your head saying, well, the MM is totally against us. We're not ACVA. We're not EG. And don't get me wrong, on the day, I think we can give them a good run for their money. But they'd be tough to beat because they're two bloody good teams. That's why they're 1-2, because they're very, very good at what they do. But I can't condemn Vale for what they've done. If they had done it from the start, then I'd agree with you. They're out of order. They should be shot down in flames. We didn't do it from the start. Bolt from BPS said to me, do I believe they should be top 8? And I said, yes, I do, Bolt. I do believe they should be top 8. I believe they've won enough cups in their own right. I believe our main team has stood on its own 2 feet in its own right, and it's proved that it can be top 8. We've had a few blips, I agree, but they haven't been major. But I do believe we're still top 8. But the thing is, we'll find out tomorrow. Prove your skill number 8, because it's so close between 12 and 5. It's so close. We're talking a couple of thousand, 2,000 cups, I believe it is. It's able.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, APA's got 40,000. Okay, and if I go down to Loca in 12th, they got 38,000. I mean, Loca's probably out of the running now. Raid have got 38,400. It's so close in there. You just need one of these clans, APA, Kana, Vale, Im, or BPS, or Souls, or Raid, to go out early tomorrow, and that's the top 8 chances for them gone. That's how close it is. It's a big tour tomorrow. PYS number 8 is the closest I've ever seen it. Normally by this stage, we have certainty. We don't have certainty now because it's so competitive. That's why I'm very, 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 very loath to turn around and condemn any clan. I don't condone. No, I don't. But that's my personal view. My personal view. You know, and I'm the sort of guy who can walk down the streets and say, I am a 53% win rate player, and I don't give a shit. Because I argue I'm a 53% win rate player, despite I've got a 70-something win rate on NA and 100% on CIS and 67 or whatever it is in Asia. That's not my win rate. My win rate is 53%. Simple as that. You know, and I would be fake if I were to turn around and say I'm a 70% win rate player or a 65% win rate player. Just the same way as that I've never seal clubbed. Because how can I sit there in tier 10 and say I'm a 65% win rate player because I played the Keriotsu 65,000 million times? It's not right, is it? It's who you think you are deep down. That's you. That's subjective. How you hold your head up high is up to you at the end of the day. That's why I can't condemn them.
But going back to the point about condemnation, I think maybe that's a word that I personally perceive somewhat differently. Maybe, I don't know, because I think if you were to condemn someone, you're probably doing so because maybe their intentions are something that you do not agree with, or maybe some actions you think it's not something that should be encouraged at all, and that is where I kind of think about what condemn is, the condemnation is, and maybe that's just how we kind of perceive this word somewhat differently. But in my opinion, maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I think it's, I mean, I think we have like the right, not really like a right that we can abuse, but I think it's something that if the intentions are it's something that is something that like something you don't necessarily agree with or something like that. I don't know how to put it in a better way. Then I think that you can do it you can do it in a somewhat respectable manner or such. I that's just probably, this is just my view on that.
But again, we've got to be careful. I mean, for example, I remember GV getting a lot of hassle in Summer Tour last year, because of their meta selection. It was mainly 252Us.
Yeah.
But not, so all of a sudden they're now restricted from their meta. How far do you want to take this?
I know.
Well, this is the point. Just because you or me or the person over there doesn't agree that you should be using a lot of 252Us.
Yeah, that's just your personal opinion.
It's your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. It's a personal opinion.
But there was a lot of noise over that. And that's what I'm saying. Until wargaming bring in rules that bring certainty, then we are doing a disservice to the clans. by shouting them out. Now, I don't mind, as I said earlier, somebody coming along and saying, look, I think this particular tactic is a little bit unfair because it gives advantage to A, B, and C, and therefore it should be closed down by wargaming. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a perfectly reasonable and fair thing to say. Where I said I disagree is when someone comes along and says, I think this particular clan X is out of order and they're acting unfair and unsporting, and they should be shot down in flames. Words to those effect. That I don't agree with. Unless of course,
I don't agree.
They've broken the rules.
Yeah.
That's
do.
The point I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, but I mean I do agree with that. It's going a bit too far when we talk about this. The clan should be shot down in flames, which is something that I agree with you on that point. But I mean, if we go even more basic, do you think we are allowed to say I do not agree with what this clan is doing because of this and their intention behind? Do you think?
Why would you? Why wouldn't it be better just to say I don't agree with the tactic of doing X because it gives an advantage and it shows that there could be an intention to do B. I mean that you can do it without mentioning the clan.
I mean, true, yes. But then.
See, Jack, I'm a great believer. I'm still a great believer, and everybody is innocent until they're proven guilty.
Yeah, true. I agree with that. Yeah.
And one of the things I don't like about community trial is that you're guilty and you've got to prove your innocence. That's not how it works in the real world.
Yeah,
I agree. In the real world, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. And we may think that the clan's intention is A. The clan's intention may actually be X. We don't know. We should never say, "Oh, Clan A is at fault because their intention is," or "I think their intention is B," because that's automatically demonizing the clan and making them guilty. They're not guilty. They're innocent.
I know, but
what I'm saying is, don't demonize clans. Just turn around and say, "I don't agree that there should be an ability for a clan to do A, B, or C." Because by doing that, it opens up the opportunity to do X, Y, and Z, which I think is not in the spirit of the game. That's a different argument. That's a fair and reasonable way to put the point across. And that's what I'm saying. I told you earlier, mate, it's all about wording. Nobody, and I mean this, nobody should ever stifle what you want to say in your opinion. As I said, as long as that opinion doesn't go and hurt others for whatever reason, then I'm fine with that. You yourself had a shitty day yesterday. I know you did. You had an awful day.
I think I have a really awful day.
And I know the first game you streamed wasn't exactly what you anticipated. The team that you streamed wasn't having a good day either.
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't say I didn't get angry about fail for this VPS. None at all.
No. Sorry if you thought I was alleging that. No, I wasn't. I was saying that you yourself was having a bit of a shitty day. The first stream that you did, the clans that you were, one of the clans was also having a bit of a shitty day, and they didn't play to the way they should be playing.
True.
Because they had other things on their mind. And this is the point I'm trying to make. Where do you draw the line on this on sportsmanship? Okay, you may think, a lot of people may think, Vale are being unsporting at the moment. Okay, let's just park that. That's what some people think. You're using a second team. You're using a second team who's got 100% win rate accounts, and you brought in players from professional server or whatever you want to say. I don't care. But let's put that to one side. That's on sportsmanship, you say. Demonizing them to the point where these guys are getting shitty messages, hate messages, to the point where they can't focus on the game anymore is also unsporting behavior, in my opinion.
True. I agree.
And this is the point I'm trying to make. I mean, you've got to look at it from an objective viewpoint. If I say A, there are repercussions for me saying A. Those repercussions could be, it may send a message to send shitty messages to party B who then gets affected. That's not fair. That's unfair because party B is innocent. He's not guilty at the moment. He's innocent.
Yep.
So you've got to then wonder, well, hang on a minute. How do I get my point across without having the same effect on a different party? And that's all I'm trying to say. Because you saw last night, Vale and BPS. Vale did not play their game. I saw the message on a rolling server saying, what happened to Vale? This is not the team that we've been seeing throughout the whole of the PYS. Of course it's not. Because they've been demonized for the last 4 days. And they've got to go in their mind.
Yeah.
In that is not sportsmanship either. Picking on them to the point where they can't play to the best of their ability because they've got other things on their mind is equally as bad sportsmanship, is it not? That's my point. And this is what we've got to consider. And as influencers, and you are now quite a big influencer on the tournament circuit, regardless or whether you think that or not, your words carry a lot of weight, believe it or not.
I agree.
You've got to be careful. And I don't agree, and I'll make this fucking clear to everybody. I do not agree with the pathetic actions taken against Jack's stream the other day with 100 and something fucking downvotes. I do not agree. And I very rarely swear on stream, but fucking out. I do not agree. You're out of order. It's not on. I don't care if you agree with him or not agree with him. What you did is petty and pathetic and childish. If you don't agree with the guy, do what I've done, speak to him. Don't do these stupid fucking tactics because you're just as equally as bad because now you have an impact on Jack. Because Jack now sits there thinking, everybody hates me, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true. You've got to think about your actions on other people. It works across the board, guys. So, that's just the way it is. And this is the point. You're an influencer now.
Yep.
And as and a major influencer, got to be careful, mate. Because the last thing you want is people getting pissed off at you for no reason. Foxy, how you doing? Because it's uncalled for. And I don't agree with what they did to you the other day. And I was so disgusted with the action that was happening that I even told my stream to go over and give your stream thumbs up. Because it was disgraceful what was going on.
True.
We're bigger than that. We're better than that. Is the point. Yeah, sorry I'm smoking, Yaro.
No,
what am I smoking? I'm smoking piss poor cigarettes from Dubai.
So
that's, I don't agree with people picking on people for no reason. It's a form of bullying, and I've never liked bullying, and it's out of order.
Yeah,
and it's psychological because they're not bullying you face to face; they're bullying you behind the scenes. I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. But the community will support you, Jack, on that. So don't worry.
Oh, thank you for that. But thank you very much. So,
exactly, Foxy. Exactly. I don't understand why they did it. It's pathetic. It's childish. And there's no place. And that's the point, Yusuf. They don't consider the impact that they have on the person receiving it. And I've seen some messages from Jack, which is why I've asked to do this stream.
Yeah.
Because he's been feeling a bit low since that stream, to be fair.
True.
Exactly, Foxy.
But I think maybe I don't know if I got a little bit confused, but maybe we also should draw a line as well. But I know your points and so on, and I understand quite a lot of the points you've come across and so on. But basic thing is that is it okay in your opinion that we can have our kind of I don't know how to put it in a better way. Maybe I might need some better wording on this, which
Jack,
sometimes
we'll always Jack will never agree on everything. That's not how the world works. You have your views. I have my views. And you are entitled to your views. And don't let anybody say you're not.
True. Yeah, because
we may not always agree. Don't get me wrong. We there's I would say 50% of stuff you and I are never going to agree on because we're different people.
Yeah.
You know, we're different ages, we have different life experiences, we have different backgrounds, we have different everything. So we're not always going to agree. And I would say 50% of the time we won't agree. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, it's I don't know, a sort of hatred or a non-trust or whatever. No, no. You know, just because I disagree with people doesn't mean to say I don't like them. I just disagree with them. I disagree with almost everybody. Jack, I'm a lawyer. I argue for a living. I argue with my wife every single minute of every single day. You know, so I'll always argue. It's just my nature, unfortunately. And it doesn't mean to say I don't agree with you. It doesn't mean to say that I don't respect your view, because of course I do. Your view is your view. And like I said, nobody can turn around and say your view is wrong. They can try to convince you that their view is right. That's different. That's debate. That's normal.
Because I don't know if I am not getting this right, but then you at one point like you are. I don't know how to put it in a more kind of like.
Just try. Just off the top of your head. It doesn't really matter. Words don't hurt me, Jack. Don't worry, mate.
I'll try, but like but kind of from what I'm getting so far from like the last few minutes or so on, that yes, I think some of the things that should be done by wargaming, or I mean the loopholes that wargaming, I mean they should be fixing. But like at the very least, it's like something that we should never ever do to like put is to like criticize someone's, maybe as a clan, maybe as an individual, the actions by some possible individual or some teams that they have made that action that might have a questionable intention, if I could put it this way. Is it something that we should never ever do?
It's a difficult one. If they break, this is where it becomes difficult again. If somebody breaks rules, absolutely breaks the rules, then I see no harm in you criticizing them till you're blue in the face.
Right.
If somebody is doing something that subjectively you feel maybe morally incorrect, it may not be a break of the rules, but it may be morally incorrect. I think you have, and nobody can take this away from you, I think you have the right to question and criticize the action, but not the person, if you know what I mean.
I mean, we can criticize the actions, but
not the individual, because the individual is not breaking any rules.
That's true.
You don't agree with. So you can criticize the action, and you can say why you don't like the action. So you can turn around without mentioning a particular clan, for example, and say, you know, I don't think it's right that an EU-based clan should have players from the NA server playing on their team. I don't think it's right. You're not mentioning the clan, you're just giving an action. And you're saying, and the reason I don't think this is because, you know, I think you should be pooling your players from your region. You shouldn't need to go outside the region. That's the whole region. Excuse me. That's the whole reason we have regions. That's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. And you should be free to criticize whatever action any clan takes without, this is the big one, naming the individuals, because the impact it then has on the individuals is the same thing you are trying to combat, is my point.
Right.
We don't know. Take Ernest, APA.
Right.
Now no longer APA, now ACVA.
Yeah.
He was demonized, literally demonized by the entire community for using an aimbot. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually did a video on that where I said he's not using an aimbot, and then I was demonized for defending him. But he was demonized for using an aimbot. Now, Ernest is a pretty strong character, yeah? He's deep down, he's a pretty strong guy. So all this was just fun and games for him. I mean, water off a duck's back, okay? He took it like, yeah, whatever. And if you ever talk to him, he's like, if you ever see some of his posts, so you use an aimbot, and he'll just write back, okay. It doesn't really bother him or affect him.
Yeah.
I know other players in this game who would be absolutely mortified to the point where, you know, they would be, I know this is going to sound extreme, but it's not. They would be almost suicidal with the amount of hate that Ernest got. And that's the thing. We don't know how the person that we're directing this towards is going to take it. And that's the thing. You know, we don't know what if they're a strong person or a weak person. If they're a weak person, it could really affect them. And it could affect them a lot. And unless they've broken the rules, or unless they're 100%, you know, 100% doing something that, you know, is totally against the rules, then we shouldn't be putting them in a position where they could receive such hate. But if they do something that we don't agree with morally, then we should question the morality of the thing they're doing, not the morality of the person doing the thing. Is the point.
Right.
You understand that?
Yeah, I see your point there, actually. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, by all means, opine and criticize all you like clans' actions on win rates or second teams or this or that. Do you blue in the face by saying, I don't think any clan should have a second team because of X, Y, and Z. I don't think any clan should be able to use 100% win rates because of A, B, and C. I don't think any clan. And if we branch it that way, we're not having a negative impact on others, and we're getting the same message out there, which is if the ability to use second teams was removed for any clan, then we wouldn't have potential instances whereby the spirit of the game was being taken down a path it shouldn't be taken down, etc., etc. When we mention specific clans who are not breaking the rules, then we're doing something different. We're automatically making them guilty of something they haven't actually done. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it becomes difficult. By all means, like I said, criticize the morality of the actions, not morality of the individual doing the actions, is what I'm saying. Right.
But when we talk about like a social problem where it's hard to kind of like apply rules on that, like what you said, maybe the action that was done towards me, do you think we should not?
The action done. Oh well, the action done towards you is both a moral thing and a breach. I mean, there is no reason to give you 107 downvotes. That's just bullying.
I mean, true, but then it's also not something that is
no bullshit. It's
breaking
harassment. Harassment. No. Read the community guidelines on YouTube. It's harassment.
I see.
It's a form of bullying and it's a form of harassment. If you bully and harass somebody, then you're breaking the rules. It's not this or that. It's boom. Now, if they're giving you downvotes and saying, I'm downvoting you because I think your commentary style is rubbish, I'm downvoting you because I think you're biased to this clan over this clan, then that's different. That's no longer harassment, that's critical. What they did was harass and bully. That's a breach of the rules. There's no morality involved there.
I see. Yeah, I understand your point. I understand now.
Yeah. So I can sit here and I can question the people's why they've done that. Because they're harassing and bullying, which is a breach of the rules. Simple. True. So I can question both the morality of their actions and their own morality. To be fair.
I see. Yeah. I understand your point now. Yeah. True.
So that's where it takes a long way for me because everything I do is unfortunately with my legal head on. So you have to bear with me sometimes. It goes around and I go around in big circles as a lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that I always do as well, going around in big circles and then not going down to the point, which I think a lot of people, when they follow me, they probably know that's kind of the stuff that I have.
But no. Yeah. You were bullied and harassed, which is against YouTube's guidelines.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
True.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they really did have an issue with your style or your commentary, or your presentation,
or any of my
then-
statements.
or any of your statements, then man up and put a comment in and say, I don't agree. And then if you have a load of comments that say you don't agree, that then justify the downvotes, that's different because that's just people criticizing.
And
they're entitled to criticize.
Yeah, and I do admit my mistakes as well. I mean, I think I once kind of I'm not sure if I actually accuse it explicitly that some clans rig one another, but I do apologize that because maybe I have made a big statement about that, made baseless statement about this, and I do admit the mistake there. So if I said something or if I did something that is wrong, then I'm happy to admit my mistakes and also apologize.
But the thing is, Jack,
Yeah.
I mean, you know as well as I do. I mean, you go onto your Discord server. Your Discord server is filled with almost all the pro players on the EU and Asia tour, and most of the NA tour as well.
Yeah.
They are passionate guys, just like you're a passionate guy about the game as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody take away your passion.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
And if anybody is trying to take away your passion by saying do this and do that, and I tried to say to you earlier, be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
True.
And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be careful of your own wording. Yes,
Yep.
you do. You have to be careful of the message you put out. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Nobody should tell you you're not allowed to put the message out. Nobody should tell you that you shouldn't be passionate. Wow.
True.
Okay. It's that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I know you're saying there. Oh, I apologize for it. Don't apologize for being passionate. Apologize for saying the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do apologize
Never
for saying.
apologize for being passionate.
Yeah, I
don't
won't.
need to.
I won't. But yeah, I apologize for the wrong thing. I did. For that reason, I did write to the leader of that clan personally to apologize for the wrong claims and the baseless claims that I might have put out during the stream. Which
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to be mindful of. Haven't it?
Yeah.
Of as an influencer, you've got to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And you've got to be mindful because, you know, I mean, people. It's like I recently had a dig at Droodles.
Yeah.
And I did a video on it, having a dig at Droodles,
Right.
because he's telling 47,000 people that it's okay to bully 47% win rate players.
Mhm.
It's not. You know, it's not.
Right.
It's not okay. It's not okay to send that message. You can't do that.
Yes.
You know? It's okay to turn around and say, I think that people with low win rates are not as good as me. That's fine. That's your opinion. But it's not fine for you to then tell 47,000 people with low win rates don't deserve to be in the game. I'm sorry, it's not right. It's the wrong message because you're you know, I know what the message is you're trying to say, but now Droodles, you're an influencer, and 47,000 people listen to you. You've got to be careful with your words because people then turn around and say, but Droodles said it was okay. But Jack said it was okay. This is the danger that you'll enter into as a YouTube influencer. As I said, you may sit there thinking, but I'm not an influencer. I haven't got many subscribers. But hey, it's not always about subscribers. Okay, subscribers will come. They will come.
Yeah.
It's about people watching your content and people respecting your content. And I've seen many messages from a lot of the pros out there saying, "We support you, Jack. We like the content, Jack." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you know, the base that you're building, your community is your community. And your community at the moment is going to be more focused on the pro players than other players. Okay.
Yeah.
So your subscriber base won't get as big as some others. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's not. But you've got to then not get into the thinking I'm not an influencer, because you are an influencer. You are influencing people's perception of scores.
True.
And when you become an influencer, you've got to be careful on how you say things. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
But no one's saying you can't say what you think. You can. You just got to be careful on how you word it. That's all.
True.
But that still doesn't say, you know, unless you, it still doesn't excuse being bullied and harassed by some form of cyber attack. I'm afraid. You know, if people disagree with you, if people have a problem with something that you've said, then they should say in the comments, I disagree with you. I don't agree that you should have said this. I think you're out of order. And that's what should have happened.
True.
So I demonize those people for taking the coward's way out by not approaching you to say, you were wrong, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by giving you a billion bloody downvotes is just stupid and just a form of harassment. The only reason they did that was to attack you. Simple.
True.
That's the point. You know, they don't realise. You know, is this gonna affect him? Is this gonna upset him? Is this gonna do this or is it gonna do that? No, they don't know because they don't know you as an individual.
Yep.
I
do get swayed a lot. I do get swayed a lot, to be honest with you. So
this is the thing.
Yep.
This is the thing, and this is what I'm saying. You know, until people, you know, we have to be careful on what we do.
True.
Basically.
True.
And Yusuf's right. It goes back to the same point that you never know who's on the other end of the message that you're sending. That's 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to harassment and bullying, it's not what you think is harassment or bullying. It's what the recipient thinks is harassment or bullying. By the way,
yeah.
You know, I could go down the road and think it's perfectly okay to call everybody a wanker. You're a wanker. You're a wanker. No, because that's okay. You know, it's not really aggressive. It's not nasty. But that one person may think that being called a wanker is the worst thing in the world, and therefore it's harassment. It's not for me to say did I harass him or not. It's for him to say I was harassed. You harassed me. You know, it's that's how it works.
You're right.
That's the thing you've got to be careful of. It's how the people receive the message rather than how you give the message.
True. You're right. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But seriously, don't take it to heart because, you know, the acts of a few haters, well, 120 odd haters, the community at large was supportive.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I was made aware of what was going on, and I told my stream to go over and give you thumbs up. I know other notable people put on their Discord, asking them to come over and give you thumbs up. So it's not like you're not going to get the support of the community because we all know you did nothing wrong.
Or maybe I did something wrong, but it wasn't mentioned explicitly and then like. But but then I would say, I mean, because what happened tonight, like, yeah, I do agree. Some of my words might be would be too strong in, for example, for that APA incident, which, which at that time I'm probably a bit too emotional. Probably I should have worded it in a better way. So
yeah, maybe.
I do apologize if it really. I mean, I do apologize. Actually, I won't say if I will give an F for that.
All of us say things in the heat of the moment that can be taken the wrong way.
True.
We don't mean to be overly nasty. We don't mean to, you know, our intention is not what people may perceive it, but that's the problem. People perceive differently. Right. So, you know, we may turn around and say, let's just say it for example. You know, that particular move was, is disgraceful and tantamount to cheating. We're not calling you a cheat. It's just in the heat of the moment and passions flare. I mean, what we should have said was, well, that's a questionable move and I don't agree with it. But you know, we'll have to see what the outcome will be at the end of the game. And it's the same message, just worded differently. But that's with time to think about it. When you're commentating and in the heat of the moment, you don't always have time.
True.
So we all do it. So don't worry about that. Everybody does it. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. I've had it where, you know, people have criticised, for example, Amunet for being biased against Raid, which is not really. But sometimes her words are misconstrued. You know, it's that way. I had a message once when we were doing the Blitz International Cup. And I was streaming one of the clans. It was a Russian clan against one of the EU clans. And one of the Russian guys came on and said, this is the only EU streamer who is being totally fair to both teams. I was like, well, that's not really true because The other streamers are totally fair as well. Maybe you just haven't understood them as much, because we have our favourites, but it generally doesn't come across, to be honest. It's generally not overly biased.
Sometimes I can be very biased, but sometimes I can be very biased to another clan very suddenly.
Obviously I'm biased towards Vale, which is why I don't stream them.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I don't stream Vale. I don't stream Vale for two reasons. One, because I would be biased in my commentary because they're my clan.
Yeah.
And two, because I don't want anybody to accuse me or them of underhanded tactics.
True.
He was giving them tips. They were in the voice chat on Discord or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't stream them, nobody can argue it.
True.
And if I don't stream them, I can't be biased. So that's one of the reasons I say I'm not going to stream Vale.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
So
that way it's fair.
Yeah. So it always happens when I see teams taking so many IS4s, I immediately will become biased to the others, which is somewhat. But I'm like.
But that's your personal view as a commentator. You can say that. Just like the other day, I said. I don't know if Fox is still there. I said, seriously, BPS have taken 75s? Really? On Middleburg? 75?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, but I mean,
it might work.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if it worked. It didn't work. But you can question it. But, no one's saying that. No one's saying you shouldn't question things. Because of course you can.
Yeah.
That's your job. Your job as a commentator, question it.
But
it's like when I was the other day on Asia, and I think I can't remember Dynasty's building. Here we go again. We've got 7 mouses in the game, 4 on one side, 3 on the other. This is going to be boring. It was because it's just a big brawl of 7 mouses. It's not entertaining to watch. Not really. So as a commentator, no one's saying you shouldn't do that.
True, yeah. But
you should.
Yeah.
See, De Silva, I bet you, I was absolutely, you were in the game, what are you talking about? But he was, De Silva saying, I was shocked too with the full E5s. I was scratching my head saying, really?
Right.
Is this their strat? Have they got this right? Have they taken a tank too many? So it was quite interesting. So, but I was like, okay. So you should be able to do that, mate. Always should be able to question things.
But also
absolutely.
Yeah, but maybe maybe I haven't cleared this up very well, or maybe I'm just spinning around in circles. But if you don't mind going back, actually. But maybe just to put it simple. Do you think we can we can have our opinions about certain individuals' actions?
It depends. You can have opinions. You could say, you can have opinions, of course. But just don't be nasty. So don't turn around and say, "Oh, that was a stupid move." Turn around and say, "That was a questionable move."
Oh, I always say that was a questionable move, though.
It's like I can't remember where I was streaming now. I can't remember if it was EU yesterday or Asia yesterday. Dynasty's Pearl. I think it was Asia actually. I'm not sure.
Right.
And the E5 stayed too far in the spawn. I can't remember. The E5 stayed too far in the spawn, and I said, well, I don't understand why he's doing that. Maybe he's got the wrong communication. Maybe he's AFK. Maybe he's got P issues, or maybe it's just a questionable move because he's taking too long to respond.
Yeah.
Of course you can say that. Just don't be nasty. Just say, this guy's an idiot, or this guy. What a stupid move that was. What was he ever thinking? You can say it's a questionable move. What was he hoping to achieve? Things like that. Of course you can.
Right.
Of course you can.
Okay.
Because that's your job.
True.
That's your job as the streamer. Your job as the streamer is to pull out things that make no sense to you, because you're trying to explain to the audience what's going down. Basically, like I said last night about Innerman. I said, what's Innerman doing there? He's getting a bit cap greedy. I think he's already taken the D cap, then the B cap. Now he's going to the C cap. I think Serenity may hurt him, and they did.
Yeah.
But that's not calling Innerman out. That's just saying, it's a straight. It was the call, I believe. But that's your job, because you're trying to convey your knowledge, your experience, and what you can see to the audience at large.
Right.
It would be boring if you just imagine how boring it would be if say, the IS-4 is capping D. Oh, now the IS-4 is going to B. Oh, now the IS-4 has gone to C. Oh. The enemy has seen the IS-4 at C. Now they're going to push out on the IS-4. Oh, the IS-4 is out of position. Oh, the IS-4 is now dead. How boring would that be? Whereas, what is the IS-4 doing? I mean, surely he's already got 3 caps. Why does he need another cap? He's completely isolated out of position. Surely that's a bad call. Surely the opposition are going to give him a punishment here.
Right.
Same, but you're saying it differently. And that's what they expect you to do.
True. Yeah, but I mean, I always try my best to go like, this is a very, very questionable move, even though if it's kind of obvious that it's a move that you should never do in tournaments. But I would refrain from saying it's a stupid move because I know it's a bit disrespecting the other clan, which I totally understand. But
yeah, Gyose Boy, one of my YouTube members has said, would it then be wrong to point out when a mistake would have been made while commentating? It depends on the mistake. You want about the mistake by the commentator? If so, then no. You can no. There's no rule saying you shouldn't be pointing out when the commentators make a mistake. Or are you saying the commentators should point out a mistake? Then yes, the commentators should point out a mistake. Should be careful with the words that they use. And the reason I say that is because what we may think is a mistake could actually be a tactic.
True.
So I'll give you an example. There are certain tactics that call for sacrificial lambs. Okay, so teams will sacrifice a tank to draw the enemy out while they flank them, for example. That has happened. And we may think that, well, what's he doing? That's a complete mistake. He's just, isolated out in the open. What a stupid move. Well, it could actually be the tactic, and it could be the call, which is why it's we have to be careful with the words we use. It's a tricky one.
Yeah,
it is a tricky one.
I with that, I remember an example with me streaming a game of Feast, and I think this is what you said. They made a very questionable move, which at that moment of time, even me think that it's a move that should never have happened in the first place. But what they did is actually part of the strategy, which draws out the enemy tanks to divert their attention to that single particular tank, while using that distraction to make a move on the other side, and in the end Feast won. And I corrected on the stream that it's part of the plan, which I sometimes do it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have to be careful, because you don't know if it's a call or you don't know if it's a tactic, and you can, by all means turn around and say, "Oh, well, that's a questionable move." But is it because they're trying? Is it a feint? Is it to sucker the other team in? Sometimes you'll know if it's a mistake. I mean, you'll see them YOLO straight in and die, and you'll say, "Oh, that was a bit wrong." It's like the other day I had one with Feast in Maddox when AFK. I think he had major ping issues on on Rockfield.
Yeah,
and he was just his E5 was just up against the hill like that. And I went, Maddox is AFK. I mean, can't do much about it.
I feel really sorry about Maddox.
And then he came back and went, "Oh, Maddox is alive again. He's now running around the map like crazy, trying to prove that he deserves not to be criticised for being AFK." So yeah, I mean, the commentator, you should be pointing out things.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a point,
but you do have to be careful.
Yeah.
You have to be careful because you don't know if it's their strategy or just a bad call or just a bad play.
True.
To be fair.
And I always say when we are seeing a lot of bounces, I always mention that it could possibly be that player being very, very nervous because we know the players we're
Sorry, I'm laughing because you say that and you say I'm nervous, and it just reminds me of Dimebag Barrel last night.
Oh yeah.
Crownwagen.
Yeah.
Against attack on Serenity in a T22, and I'm just sat there going, really? I mean, poor Dimebag. He just couldn't get a penetrating shot at all. And Tack in the T22 played a fantastic game, and Imor were like so close to winning.
Yeah.
And I would have said, I fancy Dimebag in this one in his Crown Bag, and he's fully loaded. He's going to be able to put, the T22's only got half his hit points left. I think he's going to be able to really hurt Tack on here, and then he bounced everything. Literally everything.
Yeah. No, I always say the nerves could hit you because the teams we are streaming, they are all really good players, and I don't think their ability should be questioned at this point. It is sometimes the nerves which can really make you look like a bad player, but in fact you're just being overly nervous, and that happens to all of us, not just the the player you're seeing right now, it happens to all of us, the nerfs. So I would
Yeah.
never ever say
Of
that.
course.
Sometimes when you're seeing a lot of bounces, I would never ever say that's the most stupid game I've ever seen, because
Yeah.
it's just sometimes really the nerves and the situation they're in that puts them in a lot of pressure.
But seriously, I mean, because the Silver's still in the chat. Seriously, the Silver,
Mhm.
when it came to that, because you're in that game, you're running
Yeah.
that team. Did you think, oh, I think Dimebag may have it here. He's got a little bit more HP. He's almost fully loaded. He's going after Tacos. I think we should be going. We may be going to a decider. Or did you really think? Oh, I think Tacos has got this.
But
I'd love to know because seriously, I mean, I was like, oh my god, Dimebag's just bounced him on the arse of a T22. How did that happen? And he's bounced him again. And he's bounced him again. It's like, wow.
but
Bounce after bounce is unbelievable.
But I sometimes call people stupid if I know that person really well, and then I'm just being obviously
That's
ironic.
different. That's different.
Yeah, that's
different.
that's sometimes I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always winding up the likes of Innerman. How on earth did he get into Immel's main team? But that's only because it's Innerman. And,
Yeah, because we know him really well, and we know
yeah, exactly.
we know him.
And he
Really
knows,
well.
he knows I'm only joking.
Yeah, he knows.
And, you know, on Asia, I'm always making a fun and a laugh out of, you know, Sugar Magoo in his T22. Only because it's like, it almost rhymes. And 007 James.
Bond,
James Bond. Exactly, Bond. James Bond. But you can, I mean, you know, I mean, it's not disrespectful.
No, it's just
well, I don't think it is. I mean, we're just having a bit of fun and games with them. And,
chopped ham. I love to call chop them chopped ham because it kind of fits really well with the kind of way it sounds.
Oh, when I did actually stream one of the Vale games, which was Vale against Loka.
Yeah.
I said, oh god, this is going to end in tears because Vermilio is not in a Jaegeroo. It's the only tank he knows how to play.
I can agree on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so sometimes I call Stinge noob or even Yori 12 noob on the stream, but they know I'm joking.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I know we're joking.
yeah, or if I don't know that person really well, I just make it blatantly obvious that it's just a joke.
So De Silva says here that he did say cap base and leg it, and Taco said no, I'm going to 1v1 him. What a call!
True.
What a call!
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So even if I
that's the thing.
yeah, so if I don't know you well, but if I were trying to be sound like me, I'll make it really, really obvious that I'm just being ironic and I'm just being like not trying to be insulting or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. I mean, don't forget the streamers are trying to make it entertaining for the audience as well. I mean, if you want a monologue streamer just going, yes, we have this player in this tank and this player in this tank, then fine. I mean, you know, but it's not going to be entertaining, and you're going to find it really dull and boring.
No.
So you want your streamers to try and entertain you as well. To be fair. And, they don't mean any disrespect. They're just trying to entertain the audience. At the end of the day. So I don't think anybody will take that the wrong way.
I mean, I always make bad jokes, and I sometimes get under criticism for that, but it's fine. It is what it is.
Somebody on one of my Asian streams the other day said, "Loving the sarcasm," and I was just in a sarcastic mood. You know, sometimes you can be, you know, in a strange mood.
Oh yeah, true.
But as long as you're not disrespecting the clans or the players, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing. I mean, because sometimes you'll stream clans that, you know, when you got the opening games, clans that aren't exactly
good at all.
War materials. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I was streaming Serenity, and I think they came up against a team in the opening rounds of the last PYS, where I think as I said, they only have 5 players or 6 players in the one game. And I make a point of saying, you know, kudos to the clan. I mean, I think they have 48% average win rate. The clan. I made a point of saying kudos to them because they could have surrendered. They could have said no. They went out and they faced off against a pro clan, and the experience they will learn from that is huge. I mean, it's great stuff. Even though you're getting smacked left, right, and centre, so you should never be disrespectful to the clans, even if they're not very good, because you know at least they're giving it a go, and I admire that. A lot of clans do just press surrender, or they just don't press ready. They're never against a pro clan, and you know I think they're missing an opportunity because I think they should roll out against these pro clans. Because it's great. It's great experience. You're going to get smacked, of course you are. but it's a great experience. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I rolled out with what was then GMA, it's now GG on NA, a tour with them, and we got to the last tour, and I was doing a one-on-one with Dark Magician Girl. I thought, this is brilliant, this is great. And unfortunately, I didn't kill him. Somebody else did. But you know, you get to thinking, well, you know, I know this guy's a great player. I know he's a much better player than me, but I'm just loving every minute of this. This is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, I've rolled out with the likes of Imor, etc., and played against some of the best players. And again, it's, you know, I'm not setting the world on fire. I'm just making up the numbers. But it's good experience. It's good. I tried to explain this to people on the streams. When we see these pros in these tours, you can think they're playing like a 40%er sometimes.
Yep.
But it's only because the players they're against are exploiting the mistake. It's very minor, 9 times out of 10. Sometimes it's a minor mistake that the player makes.
Mm-hmm.
The other player exploits that mistake and it magnifies it by like 1,000. So it looks like it's the stupidest move ever, or whatever. When really it's not. It's just you know, he's just over angled a little bit and or shown his bottom plate for a split second. All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. I mean, there's shots going left, right, and centre. It's you know, I watched one of the, I think it was Imor's second team. Again, I think it was against Serenity de Silva on Cal. I can't remember the player it was, but he made a little move. He got wrecked, absolutely wrecked. And I remember watching one with Win in the autumn season, and it was a game on Canal, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Kuma. I can't remember if it was Kuma or Killer. I can't remember which player it was. They were going from the C cap in a Vickers to the D cap, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they took the shortcut, which is through the bottom area, and they never went round the back. And what they didn't know was like there were sort of 3 tanks on the enemy side aiming in that direction. They didn't know he was there. But as soon as he dropped down, he lit up like a light bulb, and he sort of got triple, quadruple tapped in like a second. Poor git. It just boom, 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 boom. Like 4 or 5 shots straight into him. Gone. It's like people are saying on the stream, what a stupid move. Well, it's not really. You know, how was he to know there were 5 tanks looking at him?
Or maybe sometimes I call these kind of moves either careless moves. Maybe in the future I'll call these moves freak moves, where sometimes when someone looks like it's doing something stupid, maybe I call it. They might be having, they might be panicking probably. Which, yeah, I mean, yeah.
It was mad.
True.
It was mad. In fact, I think I can't remember. I can't remember who was in the 268. Whoever was in the 268. I think it was you actually. So I'm not sure it was in the 268. They went up above the, and this poor guy just dropped into. I can't remember who it was on the Immor team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Soul. Could have been Soul. I can't remember. But he came around the corner to drop into a particular area and just got absolutely wrecked. He's like, wow. It's not his fault. It's just that the way that it's just the way that the teams were lined up. He was trying to cap the C cap, I think. You could just see a little gap between where the 268 was into the C cap. He's just putting 600 into it. Boom, boom. And it just happens, and they couldn't see where it was coming from. So
yeah.
And this is the thing: those slight little mistakes are punished massively at the pros. Massively punished. And you know, when you actually roll out with them, you get to see that it's a lot harder than you think. You know, that's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, I did quick tours with Imor and people like that. But even when you come across, I mean, I did a quick tour. We came across Win, and it was a tough game. It was a tough game. They were tough. And then I rolled out in a quick tour with Vale, and we come across, you know, some notable plans, and they're tough to play against. These guys know what they're doing. What they're doing. They know how to angle. They know the positions on the maps, and they certainly know how to bloody hit the areas of attack that can penetrate. It's tough. You know, we sometimes get that when we're commentating. So we see a funny move and think, oh, that's idiot. It's not. It's actually wow. I don't think he anticipated that.
Or maybe that's a move that the player is ruining. Something like that.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So yeah, I mean, you should never be worried about calling out certain things. Just gotta be mindful that is it a tactic or whatever. Just be careful of the word, and that's all.
Just be careful. It could come across as an attack to the team or to the player or someone else, but it's important to be mindful for the wording.
Yeah. But I don't think. I mean, you know, like I said, a lot of the people on your Discord are pros anyway. So if you search your Discord, I'm sure they'd tell you.
True.
So I think they're quite okay with the way you're doing stuff, Jack. I think there's a problem there.
What?
It's not the pros that you've got to worry about, mate. I think that you've got enough respect from the pro side of the community. I think it's the audience that needs a bit more work.
You mean me? Oh, interesting.
I think you've got enough respect from the pro side of the community. As I said, most of them are on your Discord server. They wouldn't be there if they didn't like you.
That is true. That is true. But interesting. For what you talk about, the audience is something I have to work with more.
Yeah, it's the audience that's different. You have to remember who is your audience. Are you pitching to the pros or are you pitching to the audience?
Yeah.
Because the majority of your audience are pros. They're there to watch their favorite players and favorite clans. And that's the thing.
Right.
That's the part you've got to remember.
Right.
So when you're looking next time you're streaming, you look across at your viewers and you're streaming a game and you've got 30 viewers.
Right.
Think, well, 15 of those viewers are for Team A and 15 are for Team B.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
So if I say something like Team A's playing really badly, then I'm going to piss off out my audience.
Well, unless
Unless, of course, they are playing really badly.
Yeah.
Say, oh, they're not playing to the best of their ability, say.
Okay. Well, something they could do a lot better.
Yeah, you could say things like that. You try and make it more positive than negative, basically.
Yeah, true.
You know, say things like they are playing to the, they're not playing to the best of their ability, or
They could do a lot better.
they or they're being outplayed by Team B. I say that a lot.
Yeah.
I say that a lot.
Yeah.
I say, so-and-so tonight played well, but they were just outplayed by the other team. That way you're not really pissing anybody off. But the pros know you're talking shit. The pros know you're talking crap. The pros know that, actually they didn't play well, we just kicked their ass. The audience think, oh, that was fair. Yeah.
Right. Well, you mean maybe you mean that? I mean, you say that both teams are playing well, but you actually mean that one of them is playing really bad.
Well, basically, yeah. But you say they were outplayed by the other
Yeah.
team. Outplayed is less in your face than they were slaughtered.
The art of language. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is what you've got to consider, because you've got to consider your audience, not just the guys playing the game.
True.
As I say, your audience will think you're being very fair, reasonable, and the pros will think you're talking shit. But they don't know why you're doing it.
Yeah, true.
But as far as your audience is concerned, you're very even-handed. And I thought they played, they were good against my team, because some of them, especially when you go on to Asia, moreover, 50% of your viewers will be for a particular clan. They're not all going to be there for Feast or ID or HLV. When you get the two big clans facing each other, you're going to get a handful.
Feast versus ID. I think I got that last time, and I think it went well.
Absolutely, and it's the same with EU. I mean, firstly, we'll start with those who are just following the clan, for that particular clan. Well, don't forget, you also have viewers who can pop in because they like you as an individual.
Yeah.
They care what the clan is.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was streaming Autumn Season,
True.
And suddenly we have Win. The next opponent that I'm streaming is Win. Half the Finnish community turned up.
Yeah, I remember the Autumn Season. A lot of people from the Finnish community turned up to my stream as well.
Yeah, and when you get raid, you get all the raid followers turn up, and then
True.
when you not with raid, they're not following.
Yeah.
So you get the people who follow the clans turn up, because the clans do have a fan base. They do.
Yeah.
They have a fan base.
I remember 7-Star then. 7-Star versus Raid. I think I was at one point more than 100 viewers watching concurrently. That is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
I mean, the clans have a big fan base. Sometimes the clans don't realise it themselves, but they do.
Yeah.
They have a big following.
Yeah, so so it was really crowded during the games of 7-Star versus Raid. It was really spectacular, and I do enjoy that moment. The commentating is so on. Yeah,
it's good when it's like that. I mean, the Russians are a bit different. I mean, their audience is a bit bigger.
Yeah, they are a lot bigger. They are a lot bigger. Yeah,
and they're really into their clan wars as well on the CIS side.
Funny enough,
a lot more than they are.
Yeah, funny enough, there are not a lot of supporters for C4 though.
They're up and down. I mean, there's a lot for Mercy, and there's a lot.
A lot. Not G Game though. A lot for Mercy. A lot for 7-Star. But G Game. Yeah, a huge audience for 7-Star. G Game not a lot though. G Game, I think G Game versus C4, I don't get like particularly a lot of views for that. But like 7-Star Mercy, they are the fan base there is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely, really. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I'd love to have it whereby. We have the same following on EU.
I'm true.
This is the thing. I mean, this is why some of the things like restricting clans to only one team, sort of. I am in awe about these things, because I'd love it to have more people playing clan wars. I'd love it to have more clans involved. I mean, one of the things I'm loving about this season is it's so competitive. I mean, it's so close.
Yeah.
It's not the usual top 8. It's not the usual top 4. And I love that, and that's my aim is, one of the aims is to get more people involved in tournaments.
True.
To raise the tournaments upwards.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said thanks, mate. I'll catch you all again soon, mate. This is one of the things I'd like to do. This is why I'm very opposed to things that are not inclusive, so to speak. Because I'm a believer in the more people we get involved, the more wargaming makes it a priority.
True.
It's and I think the tour side is one of the best things we can do.
True.
I think it's perfect for the internet. 7 minutes of guys in tanks blowing the shit out of each other. What's not fun about that?
Yeah.
Our internet is either cats falling over, babies falling on their ass, or these are tanks being blown up. What's just as good?
Yeah.
It's good.
Right. Good.
Anyway, right, we've been streaming for 3.5 hours. I think.
And we haven't even touched on the final issue we're talking about, winter season.
What was the final issue then? Come on then.
The final issue is, I think we are all having a lot of discussion about whether the clans are, how we agree on the accuracy of the representation of the clans in the next stage, and that involves a lot of different variety of different possible riggings, different forms of riggings that could put the reputation of that clan in the next stage be different to the reputation of that clan in the previous skill tournament. And that is something that I think Fugit and I have quite a lot of disagreements on, because and that involves the issues with using 2 teams, and not even just this is just one of the issues I was pointing out. The other issue I was also pointing out is that you can always put one team out, but that one team there, maybe in the first few previous skill tournaments it's the same team, but then this team there just cannot achieve to the standard they are required, they are expected to be, and then they just suddenly get in a completely different team there to kind of play in that clan. Maybe they are ineligible players, maybe they are the players that are eligible, but maybe they're just playing to help that clan, and then that group just gets out of the clan, and then we go back to that main team here who isn't doing up to the standard to play for the next stage. And this is one of the problems, I think, the inaccuracy of the representation of the clan in the next stage, and I think this can become a really huge problem for, let's say, the viewership purposes. We are seeing this clan here, for example. I'm not going to name a clan, but we're seeing this clan here. But you were expecting the kind of performance you were seeing the last few previous skill tournaments, but you're seeing an entirely different clan now, and maybe it's a much weaker clan, and that would not be good for the purposes of the viewers. Let's say, like, suddenly, why do we have a much weaker clan in this really as well esteemed stage like Winter Season Championship? Why do we have a clan like this there? And then secondly, the other problem is you have a much weaker team in that stage, but and that will raise questions whether the team below them, like the 9th place team, it looks like they deserve to be there instead of that clan. And then here in, I think, the inaccuracy of the representation of the clan in the next stage is something Wargaming, it's another big issue I think Wargaming needs to investigate and kind of tweak their rules to kind of make the clan to be the most accurate in the representation from the previous skill tournaments to the next stage. We are talking about, for example,
how do we then judge representation? How do we judge that? We judge that on the win rate, on the winning percentage.
You mean
one of the reason I mention that is because one of the clans that I think you're talking about has actually a better percentage of win rates than some of the clans above it, and certainly some of the clans below it. So, and that's not because of their second team, so to speak. So how do we view purposely? How do we judge? Because again, we're being subjective.
Yeah.
And we have to be objective.
Yeah.
How do we judge realistically clan's performance? Really? Because look at the scenario. Okay? Yeah. Scenario is this: at the moment, we have clans using 100% win rate accounts, which do, and we know this, that it does screw up the MM.
Yeah.
There are clans that have been screwed over by the MM. They've basically hurt them at an earlier stage of the tournament.
True.
And it shouldn't have hurt. Okay. So is it then fair to say that, well, hang on a moment, that clan's been screwed over with the MM, therefore they should be placed higher? Well, no, it's bad luck. Now, is it therefore fair to say that, well, this clan is now using a second team that has got skilled players? No, because any other clan can do the same thing. So if the clan in 9th place, for example, feels aggrieved, there's nothing stopping them from utilising the same thing. It's not a tactic that is only open to that one clan. And that is the point I'm trying to make. It is not for us as individuals. We can have our view and our subjective opinion, which clans we think deserve to be there and which clans don't. It's not for us to then turn around and start making the rules to say that clan should be there because they're more skillful than that clan. Because that, I think, we're bordering into something completely different. And we've got to be careful on what we say. As I said earlier, I'm all for going back saying, well, I think the ability to field two teams gives clans an advantage when not all clans field two teams, and therefore I think wargaming should eliminate that. That's perfectly acceptable and a great debate and a good argument. And then we wouldn't have arguments about skilled players and non-skilled players or whatever. And that's where we've got to get to. I personally, in good conscience, I have my own opinion on which clans I think should be there and which clans shouldn't be there. Somebody said to me yesterday, for example, in particular in relation to the clan I'm in, which is Vale, saying had your clan not done X, Y, and Z, then Loka would be in the top 8. Well, Loka have not played well enough to be in the top 8. Sorry, Loka weren't initially taking this season seriously, as far as I'm aware, and they haven't got their full team out. I mean, some of their players they lost from last season. So, do they deserve to be in the top 8? What about Raid? If I went to the German community would say Raid deserve to be in the top 8 because they will support Raid. Raid have lost how many players today? Four players?
3 at least.
So even they know deep down they've not played well enough to be in the top 8. They know that. Okay. So when we get into a point whereby we are deciding which clans realistically should be in the top 8, shouldn't be in the top 8, that is a bit unfair, I think. Because as I said, if I could put this to the German community, they would say that Raid deserves to be in the top 8, not BPS, not Loka. If I put it to a different community, they'll see, like the Polish community, of course APA deserves to be there. So you have to be careful on how we do that, because what we think is very subjective.
True.
And if we feel that a team is gaining an advantage from something, then by all means say, well, they profited from this advantage, and I think wargaming should close that loophole. I don't think clans should be given the opportunity to profit from this loophole going forward. That's a perfectly fair and reasonable thing to do and talk about. I have no problem with that. And if the clan or a clan or any clans are in the top 8 or are in the final top 8 that we think may have got their, unsportsmanship-wise in our subjective opinion, and what if they then go on and win the top 8, win the pro tournament? What will happen then?
We never know.
Will we all have egg on our face and say, oh shit, I shouldn't have called them out, and they're in the PYF because they've just gone on and kicked the arse out of Aqua and Endgame or whatever. And this is where the danger lies.
True. I totally agree with you on that.
I've been in this scenario before, to be honest with you. With spring season, a lot of people say that APA and Souls did not deserve to be in last year's spring season. And they didn't get into the top 4. Thing is, the clans below them, they would have fared just as equally as APA.
But you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
APA may have had an off day. Souls may just have an off game on those particular games. When they played against the likes of Loka or Raid or Endgame or whatever, Loka, Raid or Endgame, whatever, may have just been particularly on fire that day. The reason I say that is because I have to go back to the other day. Serenity lost fair and square to BPS. BPS beat Serenity the other day. And it was reset, so they had to play each other again. Serenity haven't put a foot wrong, really, since then. They've lost. They've taken the games really close towards to Aqua, and Aqua's been on fire. But Serenity haven't really put a foot wrong. Now, they blipped against BPS. It was an off day. BPS were playing well, maybe. You just never know. But for, and this is where it gets very, very difficult to see, Jack. Had Serenity not been given the opportunity to replay that game against BPS, would Serenity be in 4th place? Because they would have gone out before the quarterfinal. They would have got the cup.
They would not have earned an extra 900 more cups, actually. If I were to be exact there, around 900 cups would not be gained.
So would they be in 4th place? No, they wouldn't.
They would be borderline top 8.
Borderline top 8. So we go back to our point. You're saying, some clans may not deserve to be in the top 8. Oh, that's a difficult one to say. Serenity deserve? But this is where it gets confusing. Do Serenity therefore deserve to be in the top 8? They lost fair and square, although not officially. Unofficially, they lost fair and square to BPS. Ergo, BPS should be in the top 8. BPS would have gone on and they would have got their cups and they would have been in the top 8. So that would have put pain to say Immor, Vale, and Serenity. So this is why it gets very, 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 very dodgy, murky area.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Because this is why I'm very loath to turn around and say, unless there is a breach of the rules, I can't say for certainty X or Y. All I can say is whoever gets into the top 8, it goes to the next stage. It will go to the next stage. It's up to them to prove that they were there. And if they don't prove they were there, if they are absolutely horrendous in the next stage, then a lot of questions will be asked, and they will have to face that music from the community because it will happen.
Yeah,
it will happen.
Yeah, but I think you never know.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, but
these guys could shocking surprise.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Serenity is done. Nobody would turn around to me until that replay against BPS. Nobody would have said, "Oh, you know what? Serenity should be in the top 4." Now they are. And you know what? Since that replay, because I've streamed them every game since that replay of BPS.
Yeah.
You know what? They deserve to be there. They played amazing games.
Until you jinx them. Until you jinx them.
Yeah, please.
But no, I think going back to my point, maybe it was coming across not the best way. But I was talking about maybe to get it to exaggerate a little. Sorry.
I was saying what they're doing.
So maybe I should exaggerate a little bit more about this. Maybe the clan, maybe one clan, random clan that's always send one team. So let's say I put it this way: always send one team. And originally the team has this group of players who are playing for that one team, and they are maybe let's say like borderline tops. Let's say like even more exaggerated, like 20th or 21st, or maybe even lower than that. And they are expecting the top 8. And then suddenly what they're doing next, maybe at the middle of the Premier Skill Tournament season, they recruited an entirely new team, maybe from another clan in the server, which is a lot better than the team they have put out there, that have always been put out. And with this new and really competent team, the team in the end make their way to, let's say, the top 8, and then they kind of remove that. Let me finish. Sorry. And then they remove that completely competent team, and then during the Winter Season Championship, let's say they are in the top 8 in the end. During the Winter Season Championship, they go back to the team, to that main team, which like are floating around like 20th place. Like you can tell that that there is a big, huge skill gap between the main team they're using and also that very competent team they are using in the later stages. So this is the thing that I was saying, that wargaming should try to should plug this loophole so that the representation of the clan should be as accurate as possible. Yeah, that is something that I think wargaming should do to plug this loophole.
I agree with you on that, Jack, but you're wrong that the second team is much better.
No, I've never mentioned any clan. I'm merely making an example.
I know what you're saying, but
I'm not pointing anyone.
But the thing is, I mean, if the thing you remember is this. Again, it's not the clan's fault.
I'm not saying it's any clan's fault. I'm merely suggesting that this is a loophole that wargaming should try to fix.
No, I agree. And wargaming should do that.
Yeah.
And until wargaming do that,
True.
then you'll have a subjective viewpoint.
True.
Let's say, and because I know of teams at the moment who are down in 18th place, 16th place, who on paper, in fact, let me just have a look. I'm going to mention any teams. Let's see if I know any. Yeah, I know teams who are scrabbling around at the bottom or the top of the low echelon, or the bottom of the middle echelon, who I would have thought realistically should be up there. But they're not there, and they're not. And there are teams who are in the top 8 that people are saying for certain reasons should be there. That even if their second team didn't exist, they'd still be near as direct to the top 8. To be honest with you, it wouldn't be that far behind.
Right.
Because there's a lot of other factors that then come into play, as I said. And this is where it gets really, really confusing. Because it's where do we then judge who or who shouldn't be in the top 8, who is worthy and who isn't worthy?
Yeah, I get your point there, yeah.
Because it really does become difficult, because you then go back all the way to the beginning of PYS, and you turn around and say, well, had APA not faced their second team in round 16, then they may have faced a better team and gone out in round 16. Which means that Kraken S may have got through, which means this team may have got through, or this team may have got through, and APA wouldn't have got as many cups. And there's so many variables. It's like if this team wouldn't have used 100% win rates in PYS number 3, then maybe Vale wouldn't have faced Akva again in round 2. Again, and lose out.
True. I totally get a point.
In what I've been trying to say from the very beginning is wargaming need to close all of these loopholes.
True.
So you need to close out the 100% win rate, so you don't have shitty MN that puts teams at a disadvantage. Right. You need to close out the abilities that if teams meet each other from the same clan, then there has to be rules in place whereby they have to play correctly. If they're not, then one of them has to be kicked. There has to be rules in place that if a team does use a second team, then that second team either A, doesn't have its cups counted, or has to be an eligible team for the next stage. It doesn't matter. But wargaming have to put those in place.
Yeah.
If all these loopholes are closed, then trust me, fans wouldn't use second teams halfway through a PYS. And stuff like that. And all these points would become moot, seriously. True. Because then we have a fair system across the board. And at the moment, the only fair system we have across the board is that every clan can have a second team.
Yeah.
Every clan can recruit from wherever they want.
Yep.
Their second team.
But
That's the only thing we have.
yeah, I
Every
know.
clan uses their own rights. That's the only level playing field we have, and that level playing field has got to be removed. The level playing field has got to not be 100% win rate accounts, second teams. It's got to be, you go there as your clan. You put your best team forward as your clan, and you use the players who are going to play.
Yes.
And their win rate seeding is based upon X amount of battles you having a tier 10 in your garage, and not just on your random, the 2 random games you've played.
Fugit, I mean, there is a very good point you just mentioned there. I mean, that is the basis of my point. Trying to pull up the loophole, I'm trying to kind of deliver from my best. So you said the team is what you're going to be seeing in the next stage, and that, I think, is the kind of the main basis around my point here. The main problem being that sometimes it's possible, and it's within the rules. I have to say, it's within the rules that you can send an entirely different team to like the next stage, where be it the Winter Season Championship or the Challengers Tournament. Yeah, you can do that, absolutely, no problem with that. It's within the rules. What I'm trying to say, the loophole is that clans are able to kind of go suddenly during the previous skill tournaments, and maybe at the start, maybe throughout the entire previous skill tournaments, send a much better team. I'm not saying once again any clan guilty of that, but I'm just merely stating that it's possible and it's within the rules that a clan is able to send a much better team during the previous skill tournaments, only for that much better team to not play in the next stage, which I think this loophole needs to be plugged.
But again, you've got to be careful. That's what I'm saying, because today, because it's no secret, some players are out or are considering. Money Dude, Money Dude left raid, not today, but he has left raid, and he's now in Karna. And I think there's a couple of raid guys who have left and joined Karna, and they may now fit into their main team.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that's a different team to what we saw in PYS. But you've got to be very careful on how you word this.
True.
Because clans should not be, unless you're going to fix their roster. Clans are always going to try and entice players who are good players. So even if you're in the top 8, for example, let's say you come in at 8, okay, then there could be a clan, it's a number 5, likes one of your players,
True,
and recruits them between the PYS and the next stage. They can do that.
Yeah.
And then you haven't got the same clan team in the next stage of the tournament. So you've got to be careful. This is the thing. We have to remember there's knock-on effects to everything. And once I get your point, I understand your point. How do we turn that into something to try and close off every single avenue without? I mean, the only way to do it, isn't there? And that is, you've got to introduce a fairer system just at the beginning. You've got to either reduce this to 2-team clan rule, or have different rules in place.
Or maybe like fixed roster.
Fixed roster. And then you've got to think, if we do a fixed roster, how will the clans take that? Will the clans be happy with that? Because, let's take Raid. Raid have just lost a load of players. Let's take Zenith. Zenith were playing right at the beginning of the POS, and they all got a bust up. When POS number 2 clan didn't exist, nobody left. And there are some good players in Zenith. Now they can't win any of the clan. Is that fair? No, this is where it gets difficult. It becomes complex. And the only, and you've got to try and close out every single potential repercussion of the rule that you bring in. Is the problem. It's the same as you can only have, at first it was you can't have any player who was not resident. This was Twitter offlines. The rule was you can't have a player who is not resident in the region. Okay?
Yes.
And that didn't seem to be a problem until Whoopsie wasn't allowed to go. Whoopsie doesn't sit in the EU, he sits in Russia. He did that, but where he sits now. And all of a sudden Whoopsie's not allowed to go with his team to the Twister because he's not in the EU region. So they introduced a rule. You can have 2 people. Okay, we can have 2 people on the server. It doesn't say you can have 2 people, but they can't be. But they're not allowed to be a part of another clan in another server. You can have 2 people, but they can't be in one of the top clans in another server. No, there's no rule saying that. So what do you do? Because there's a lot of people talking about our second team at the moment, saying, it's full of G-game. It's not. They're all demon in Mike, by the way. They're not all G-game. And it's no different to me. I'm a member of GG on NA. I can go and play GG if I want to. I mean, they'd be stupid to play me, but I could if I wanted to. But I would be ineligible for the next stage. And this is the thing. Where do we say no? This we're going to discriminate. We're going to say no.
I think that is a fair point you're talking about here.
That's what becomes difficult. And this is why we still got to try and find a way that is fair for everybody, is equal to everybody, and is in keeping with the tournament system. And that boils us back down to get a better MM seeding. Got to get a better MM seeding, because as long as you still have 100% win rate seeding, clans are going to find alternative mechanisms to be preferentially treated. Because why shouldn't they? If Clan A is using it, then you can't demonise Clan B for doing the same thing. It's not fair. So do the decent thing wargaming and get rid of the stupidity. That is 100% win rate seeding. And second teams, well, either A, remove the ability for any clan to submit a second team, or come up with a system whereby the second team does not give a benefit, whatever that benefit may be. I don't know.
Or as we said before,